I could find my button. Got it. All right. You'd think after what are we 3 years now on Zoom that I would have found where the highlight button is. Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Good evening.
All right,
Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Sarah Glenn Smith. I'm the chair of the Massachusetts Commission on the Status of Women. I'm recovering from a cold, so I apologize for my voice. On behalf of the MCSW, we would like to acknowledge that this meeting is being held in Worcester, Massachusetts, the traditional land of the Nipmuc and Agawam tribes. We pay our respects and show our gratitude. It is great to be with you all. This is going to be my first regional convening, so I'm very excited to see what this looks like. I am pleased to see all of you joining both in person and online. It's been quite a few interesting years, but seeing all of you gives me great hope and joy. The MCSW was legislatively created in 1998 as an independent state agency seeking to advance equality for women across the state and to promote their rights and opportunities. The commission consists of 19 volunteer commissioners who are appointed by the governor, Senate President, Speaker of the House, and representatives and House Representatives and the Caucus of Women's Legislators. The commission represents and recognizes all women, regardless of their age, race, color, creed, abilities, language, socioeconomic status, immigration status, sexual orientation, or gender assigned at birth. Together, we are responsible for studying, reviewing, and reporting on the status of women in the Commonwealth and are charged with advising executive and legislative bodies on the effect of proposed legislation on women. Our purpose is to provide a permanent, effective voice for women throughout Massachusetts, but we can't do this work without all of you. Our regional commissioners are the very heart and soul of the Massachusetts Commission on the Status of Women. You are not only the closest to the people, to the issues real women, children, and families are facing every day in the Commonwealth, but you are those people. Your events engage with community, uplift women and girls, and offer insights into legislative strategies to move the needle on progress forward for all. Thank you so much and welcome.
Thank you, Chairwoman. That was awesome. Ladies, everybody. Woo! Isn't it a beautiful day to be together?
Yes. Beautiful day.
Isn't it a beautiful day for us to be doing sisterhood together in this beautiful hailstorm? So I wanted to, can you guys hear me online? Okay. So I wanted to basically kind of do a little icebreaker, get all of us into the mood to enjoy the evening together, right? And you know, I always try to come with something a little hard for everybody, but I'm coming easy today because I know the drive here was a little bit, you know, little stressful, right? So what I'm going to ask all of the sisters in the room and online to do, I want you to pause for a moment and think of one word, the first word to pop into your mind that talks about how you're feeling towards 2023. Not right now, but looking towards 2023, that first word that pops into your mind, right? Everybody got your word? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask each of you to tell us your word and tell us why that is your word. And because we're going to revisit this word in 2023, right? So when you speak it, I want you to write it down. And of course, I'm going to take it from the notes because in 2023, I'm going to revisit your word and I'm going to ask you if your word is accomplished. I'm so sorry, everybody that's online, but in the room, everybody got a cute little, you know, little notebook to use for 2023 towards your word, right? So you got a notebook, so put your word and look at Sister Sexy back there. Look, shine time. Girl, and then she had to do the, she had to do the work. I'm like, wait a minute. All right, so everyone has your word written down and we're gonna, and online too, please write your word down. I'll try to get you a journal book somewhere out of the stuff, the swags that are
The
still
chair
here.
asked that I write all the online down and we'll do a word cloud.
Oh, nice.
I'll write
Yes.
everyone's down.
Yes, thank you. That'll work. So I want to tell you my word and where I plan on going in 2023 with my word, right? Many of you might know a positive impact is my motto. It's my hashtag, it's everything I do, positive impact. And I truly believe that my life, I'm supposed to impact everybody that I come into contact with daily in a positive manner. But 2022 has been a really hard year for me. So my new word for 2023 is self. Self. For 2023, I'm going to do more internal review, looking at self. I'm going to do more self-care, take more time for self, because I haven't been doing that. I've been so passionate about all my work that I've noticed that I've let self slip. So my word for 2023 is self. I want to self-motivate. I want to self-build, self-care, self-wellness. That's what I'm going to do for 2023. Right? All right. You ready, sister? All right.
I'm still kind of chewing, but
Okay.
but I'll go.
Will you just introduce yourself, say your name.
Yeah,
and
say
where you
it
from.
in your region.
My name is Augur Winnie Okoye, and I'm the chair from Essex County Commission. Hi, Essex Commissioners. Hi, everyone. Okay, what is my word? My word is hopeful. Hopeful comes to mind because I feel like it's been a grueling last couple of years for everyone. And I have to stand firm in my hopefulness of the fact that 2023 is gonna usher in a world that is a lot easier than the hardship that a lot of us have had to go through. Hopeful in the sense that mental health and the challenges relative to mental health that a lot of us have had to deal with in the last post-COVID world will be somehow ameliorated. So hopefulness is my word.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you. Hopeful. Yes. All right. Sister, you ready?
Oh, I'm ready. Yeah, so my name is Heather Panaki. I am the outgoing chair, co-chair of the Metro West Commission on the Status of Women. I will be staying with the commission, but this time I'm just gonna be a plain old perfect little happy commissioner. My word is actually, I'm gonna blend it. It's actually two words, and I hate to cheat, but my word is beginning anew.
Oh,
So I'm thinking 2023, new year, new starts.
Yes.
We're gonna have new commissioners coming into our commission, a new governor, and
Historic at
it's a chance to begin anew. So fresh start. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Okay, my name is Stephanie Daly and I am the outgoing co-chair of Metro West with Heather. And our new chair is here and our new vice chair will be introducing them to you. My word is achieve. We have spent a lot of time planning and trying to figure out what we want to do, both as a commission and at my job and in my personal life. And this year I need to achieve some of those things. I think that we have all been struggling just to get through the past few years. So now it's time to move beyond that and not be satisfied with just getting through, but actually move forward.
nice, nice. Yes.
I'm Julie Fakir. I'm the incoming vice chair of the Metro West Commission. And my word is also hopeful. I'm hopeful that we are putting this last 2 years of difficulties behind us and moving on to good, bright things next year.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Linda Sabula, with the Cape and Islands Regional Commission. And my word is guarded. I'm going to wait to see what happens. We've had such a split Congress for the past few years. So my word is guarded.
Okay. Right.
I'm Jenna Canfield. I'm the former chair of the Upper Middlesex Commission, and my word is complete. I've had a lot of projects on hold. I've been a caregiver for the last 2 years. And that status has changed, unfortunately, but now I'm going to be able to start looking forward to projects that I want to complete. Some of them.
Nice. Nice. Good. Good.
Hello.
Good evening. My name is Lisa McDonald. I am newly elected chair of the Metro West Commission, and I'm happy to be here. I don't know what the word is. Just I walked in late.
So we need you to think of a word, give us a word, the first word that pops into your mind for 2023, your future, not today, not your past, but your future.
Sure. Joy. Because I've been doing a lot of talking with other people about how your thoughts become your words and your words become your actions. So therefore, this was also joy.
Nice. Chantal?
Hi, everybody. Chantal, Chair of the West County Commission on Status of Women. My word is strategic. Moving forward, I feel like I wasn't a fly by your pants type of girl, but I allowed others to dictate what I was doing. I just had a voice at the table. But now I'm going to be strategic in where I'm going, what I'm doing, and who I'm around.
Oh, nice. Tina, we get a word from you too.
Yeah, I'm going to pick meaningful, because I'm going to go into 2023 making choices for myself professionally and personally that have meaning for me. If they don't, I'm gonna let it go.
Nice.
So that is my word.
Thank you, Alan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ellen. I'm the new communications director here for the MCSW, and I'm from Springfield, Massachusetts. And I put evolve. They've been working remotely a few years now, and it's a little challenging. And inside, it's like a 10 square foot radius. So whether it's getting out or doing more of these events, which I'm coming to love, just getting beyond what has been the norm for the last few years. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, Ellen. Rebecca?
Hey folks, I'm Rebecca Bacht. I'm the Program and Planning Chair on the State Commission. I'm so excited to be in the room with some of you and on the Zoom with others. My word was also hopeful. And for me, I'm hopeful that each year that we all encounter, we will move a little bit more toward our collective liberation. So that was my word.
Oh, nice. That's a good one. Chairwoman, I'm going to jump to you and then I'm going to go in pattern.
My word for 2023 is reclaim. I feel like the last couple of years, I'll speak for just myself personally, but I know from a lot of people that I've heard is chasing and reacting to things that are out of our control. So I would like to reclaim some of that control and feel like I'm making decisions, not making responses. So I'm excited to reclaim this year.
Thank you. Marsha? Marsha Plant Jackson, I saw you. Where you at?
I'm here. I just had to unmute. So actually what the last person just said for 2023, I actually like that a whole heck of a lot. Just to reclaim our positivity, reclaim our energy, and reclaim our goals.
Thank you. Marsha's from Hampshire Franklin. So please state your name and where you're from also online, ladies. Tanya Lobo. Now I know I saw her, Vice Chair of Bristol County. Tanya?
Yep, I was just trying to unmute. So originally my word was success, but the more I continue to think about it, the more I continue to say that I really want my word for this year to be no, because what?
You gotta go with the first thing that popped into your mind. I can't.
No, I really want it to be no, because I have not been able to say no, and I'm really teaching myself to say no and to have boundaries, and that I can't do it all, and that I can't save the world, and I can't save my family, and I just need to say no. So my word is going to be no. Like, I'm going to be true to myself and not try to be this like big, oh, I want this word. No, I'm going to say no. My word is no for the year.
I thank you for starting using your word now.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, I don't know what happened, just shifted, but Tamisha, you shifted into my screen line. So Tamisha Civil.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Tamisha Civil, Secretary of the Eastern Region Commissioners of Women and Girls. I think the two words, you said one, but I'll add two because they're the same: action and execution. You know, I could be a bit of a procrastinator, but 2023, I want to take action and execute it and, you know, be about the business and go head first.
Thank you, thank you. Elizabeth Ruda.
Hi, everyone. Elizabeth Aruda, Plymouth County Commission on the Status of Women. I had the same word as some other folks, hopeful, trying to go into the new year, reminding myself of all the opportunities we have. And yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much. All righty, Lynn Barbie.
Hi, Lynn Barbie, Cape and Islands. My word is persevere, because while I think we have made some progress, there is still a long way to go. And so I have to keep my energy focused and persevere.
Thank you so much, thank you. All right, Linda Champion.
Hi, everyone. I wish I could have been there. I tried 3 routes to try to get to Worcester, and every single route was gridlock traffic because of those Royals. But I guess my word is excited. So happy to be here filling in for our chair of the Eastern region, our co-chairs of the Eastern region, me and Tamisha. So happy to be with all of you.
Thank you. Sarah Galuli.
Hello, I'm from Berkshire County. The word I chose is empowered. As a new regional commissioner, I'm feeling empowered to make some change and do some work and get to know everybody. So feeling empowered.
Thank you, Sister Victoria.
Changes we can see their video. Hey there. So one thing I want to tell you is we can't see Ellen or anybody off her Tina to the side. So when they talk, if they could step by the camera, yay! So my word is encouraged, because the election turned out a little better than I thought it would. And because we just passed, you know, equality in marriage, and there are some great things going on. I'm not really hopeful though, because I'm so scared. And I have to move my 90-year-old mother from Connecticut to Massachusetts, and I'm in grad school and got a kid in college, but one kid already got a job out of college. So a lot going on, but I'm encouraged. There's enough good stuff that I think if we, you know, work hard, we might just save our democracy.
Thank you. Michelle Mullet.
Oh, hi, thanks. Hi, everyone. My word is elevate, and that's something a fellow commissioner talked a lot about last time we had a meeting for the chairs of the committees, and I really love that because it really embodies everything we're trying to do, is not only bring out these voices that have been left out for so long, but to elevate that and put them front and center. So that's my word.
Thank you. Carolyn Riley.
Hi, my word is going to be accomplish. I have set up many different projects, things that I've been working on over the last year. I want to wrap up my dissertation and finally get my PhD. And there's a lot I need to just follow through on. I'm going to accomplish in this next year.
Thank you so much. Carolyn's with Plymouth County. Maria Gonzalez.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so happy to be here, part of this incredible group. My word is fierce. This year was very, very, it was incredible for me in the sense that from July on, everything that was supposed to happen to a human being has happened to me. And I never lost my will to, you know, be happy and to help others. And so for the rest of this year and into the new year, I'm going to be, what was it, fierce? Did I say fierce? Fierce.
Yes. Thank you so much, Maria. Sue Mintonen. Did I say it right, Sue Mintonen?
Very well.
Thank you.
So I am Sue. I'm from the Cape and Islands Commission. I'm located on Nantucket, so I'm glad I didn't plan to come because I would never get home with this wind. And my word is forward. I am very tired of looking back. I'm very tired of the way things used to be. So I'm charging ahead and moving forward.
Thank you. Marissa.
Did my video work? Sorry, I can't see myself.
You're on. You're good.
Okay, I'm sorry. So I'm Marissa. I'm from Berkshire County. My word is growth because I have been growing a baby for most of 2022 and I'm due at the beginning of 2023. So that's really what I've been thinking about is the baby when 2023 comes to mind. But growth also applies to this. I hope I grow in this role and there's a lot to learn. And yeah, I hope that I can, accomplish something and help in some way and just grow as a person and help my county and my state.
Thank you so much, Sister Christine.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christine Monska. I'm a state commissioner. I'm here with my son, Atticus. My word is energized because in 2023, I certainly have to have more energy than I do these days as a new mom. But I'm also just so excited about the MCSW, our increased budget, our new staff, and just all the potential growth that we have all working together, and really happy to be here tonight.
Thank you, sister. So while I call the next person, I'm going to go ahead and give Shy enough time to go get Lorenzo. Safita Romeo. He's sleeping. Oh, what is it?
Hi, everyone. I would say satisfaction. Satisfaction because we have two powerful women going into the State House. Satisfaction that women are being heard. Do we have a lot more to do? Absolutely. But satisfaction, I didn't think it would happen, and we have a vice president that is fabulous. And now we have two women in the State House, and I'm going to look for more satisfaction.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Shy, can you jump in, Sister Shy, jump in?
Hi, Shaitia Spruill, Executive Director of the Mass Commission. So excited to be in sisterhood with you all. I'm sorry I couldn't be in there in person. I caught COVID over Thanksgiving break and I wanted to make sure folks are, not catching my cooties. So my word is, I think I have to go with, I'm not sure who said it, but growth. Whoever's having the baby, I didn't catch your name, but I'm with you on the growth. I think 2023 is going to be a huge year for growth of the commission, growth of women in leadership, growth of, I just had a baby, he's sleeping now, that's Lorenzo. Watching him grow, watching my oldest grow, and watching us all grow together as an organization. So that's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Sister Stephanie.
My word is excited. This year, I've been planting a lot of seeds for the commission as well as for my personal career. I wear a lot of titles, and a lot of seeds have been planted, and I see them coming to fruition. I'm excited. I started this year with 3 people on my commission, and I'm ending this year with a full commission of highly energized ladies that are just phenomenal to represent Bristol County. So I'm excited. I'm really excited. And I'm loving my new, I'm leaving, so I'm having a little separation anxiety because I'm terming out. But if you check out my vice chair to be chair, do you see her sign for BCCSW? It's exciting, it's electrifying. I'm a little mad she didn't hook me up with one of those, but that's okay. That's what the future is right there.
Thank you, thank you. All right, Sister Sue Lewandowski, yes. You're muted still, Sue.
I'm one of the original Worcester County Commissioners and had to go out, and I'm back in the advisory commission because I'm too busy. The words, I had so many words that came at me at once, and focus and collaborative just hit me. This year in North Brookfield, where I live, we are at a perfect time to really get things done, and I've been collaborating with a lot of important people that can make some sustainable changes. And so I'm really excited. And also, I just got became a recovery coach. Now I have 500 hours of recovery coaching that I have to undergo. So I need all the collaboration I can get for resources.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Rose Costa.
She's still muted.
Rose, you're still muted. She's trying to get it. She's on her phone, so. Yeah.
29 total online.
Okay.
I'll speak for Rose if she can't get on.
Yeah,
If she
well,
does,
you
if
can
she
come
does,
back.
I'll let her speak for herself, but she is one of our new commissioners.
Yeah,
Yes.
so definitely we
I'm
want
ex-
Rose
I'm
to talk, so
excited.
I'll let her find her mute. I'll jump to the next person while she's getting her mute together. Amanda. Amanda Dumas.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anna Melina Dumas, new commissioner for Worcester County. My word for next year is to heal. So I've kind of been through the ringer this year and just like been straight surviving. My brother passed away like suddenly from COVID in February. So it's just been like crazy since then. But yeah, so in 2023, I want to heal, grieve and deal with all of that stuff. But work wise and commission wise, I am hopeful for 2023. So I'll say that, but.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you so much. Rose, we're gonna unmute you for you, so you don't have to worry about it.
I can only ask.
Oh, you can only ask?
I
Oh, we'll
hit
be
the
back to you in a
suggest
minute.
button, so.
It should have popped up on your
Yeah.
screen, Rose. So when you see it, catch it. Liz Friedman, Sister Liz.
Thanks, Meredith. Oh my gosh, it's so wonderful to be with all of you. I'm with the State Commission. I'm in Northampton, Western Mass. My word is a combo. It's relaxedly determined. And I can see so many things clearly that all of you are going to do, that we're going to do together, that we're going to get to do with our new governor and lieutenant governor and leadership. It's very exciting, but the relaxed part is really important because I don't want to go at a crazy pace. I want to just know that we're going where we're destined to go, and we're going together.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. So I don't think I've missed anybody. If I missed anybody, Tamisha, I did Tamisha.
Tanisha Arena.
Oh, Tanisha. Oh, sorry, Sister Tanisha. You're hiding. Oh, and Danella after you. I didn't see the two you just popped on the screen. Go ahead.
Okay. So this is a word for 2023.
Yes, ma'am.
I got a phrase, life of ease. It's a space that I've been spending a lot of time in. I'm the person that shows up in the training work that I do, talking about we can do hard things. I can do hard things, but that's just not what I'm leading with. I want a life of ease and flow. Everything that's for me is going to be for me, and I don't have to chase it. So that's where I'm at. Life of ease, 2023.
Thank you so much, Danella Clark, Sister Danella.
Thank you so much, Meredith. Good afternoon, everyone. I love just hearing from all of you. My word for 2023 is grateful. As one of the commissioners, I'm a state commissioner appointed by Governor Baker in 2015, have been serving since 2016. And when I think about this particular convening that Meredith has so ably led for so many years, I just think about the gratitude and how grateful I am to see all of the regional chairs and really just to hear from you all. We cannot do the work we do at the state without the work that each of you are doing. So I'm just grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sister Carly. Carly Mills, did I call you already?
No, you did not.
Sorry, we're having a hard time hearing you. You're
Mute her so she'll know.
So I'm Carly, I'm with
Carly.
County. And my word of 2023 is intentional. And I'm choosing that word because I feel like the past couple of years.
Wow, that's good.
Maybe is that
So Carly, you were coming in as Darth Vader, then your word came in, and then you fell back out again. So thank you. We did get that. We're going to put it into the notes. All right. Holly. Holly. I know I saw Holly.
I'm here. Sorry, it wouldn't let me unmute. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you well. Tell us what region you're with, Holly. I know you're out this way, but
I'm in Bristol County with Stephanie, and we are both graduating. So we call it here this December. And my word is, that it's just such a hard decision because there's so many different things that I want for myself, for my community, and for everyone. But I would say kindness. I've dealt with a lot of bullying and harassment and actually assault. And I feel like there's a lot of hate in the world, and we need to all find a way to be more kind.
this is a historic. Thank you. So Shanique, you're our last sister, and then I'm going to turn it over to my sister here in the room. Shanique, can I get your word?
Hi, everyone. Shanique Spalding, she, her pronouns. I'm part of the Hampden County Commission. My word is change, and it's for 2023, correct?
Yes.
So my word is change. I just got a new job as the executive director of the Mass Voter Table, and so that's a big change in my life. Also, at the end of the year next year, I will be changing my last name to Rodriguez. I'll be getting married, and so lots of changes coming up for me next year, all exciting, all scary, all big things. And so I'm really looking forward to all the changes that I know about and all of the new ones that are sure to come.
Oh, wow. Nice. Thank you, sisters. Thank you so much. So everyone keep your word, follow your word, make notes on your word as you're going through, and your progression of your word is something that we're going to revisit in 2023 to see. And also think about this, your word is your word, but look at all these sisters you have that's going to support you in achieving your word, right? That's the icebreaker. And I'm going to turn it over to my sister, Rebecca.
I know it's a little awkward, but
yeah, she's going to. Yeah, we think that.
Hi again, folks. From on camera this time, Rebecca Back, the Program and Planning Committee Chair. I love these regional convenings because I find the work that the regionals are doing so inspiring. You guys have the best ideas. You give us life. You bring such important service to your communities. And what's so exciting about the regional convenings is that we get to hear about everything that you're working on, everything that you're struggling with, and provide support to each other, and also your legislative priorities so we can all align with each other where we have overlap. So I'm going to ask each regional, whether you're on the Zoom or in the room, to have a representative step up to the podium if you're in the room, or come off mute and share with us your recent successes or the things that you're excited about working on, some challenges that you're working through, and if you want to put any questions out to the group about anybody has experience with a challenge that you're facing, and then also any legislative priorities that you want to share with the group so that we can see where there are commonalities, get ideas from each other. So I'm just going to go in alphabetical order, and I believe that we'll be turning toward the Zoom for this one, and we'll start with Berkshire, and I'll sit down each time and then I'll come back up and ask for the next commission. So Berkshire, I know that you are in a rebirth phase, but if you have a representative prepared to share your recent successes or what you're hoping for, your struggles and challenges, and your legislative priorities. Thank you so much.
So that we do Sarah, one, two, the one is Sarah and Jill.
White and Harris. We have Marissa and Sarah.
Marissa and Sarah, yeah.
And they may or may not. Be ready
So,
to.
so Marissa or Sarah, either one of you want to say something about what your goals might be for Berkshire?
I honestly don't know yet. I wish I had a better answer. I guess just, it's going to take a little bit to figure things out, and just being, just focusing on seeing what can be done and learning more about what needs to be done.
So just for everybody in the room, and I know a lot of the chairs know this, so Berkshire County is in the process of being rebuilt. And we have 5 wonderful new commissioners that were just appointed on November 17th. And Sarah is one of them, Sarah Galuli. And Sarah, I just saw you on camera just a second ago, and Marissa, who just spoke. And then we have Barbara Rosenthal, we have Andrea Wadsworth, and Sheila Levante. And then we also have a couple other interviews coming up, so we're very excited. So for those of you in the Berkshire, I just want to say this, I appreciated that you all showed up. I think we just were missing one at the Pittsfield hearing, and everybody spoke. So Sarah or Marissa, if there's anything that you spoke about, Sarah, if you can hear me, you gave a wonderful testimony. Do you want to speak to that at all? And the young women have grown there. Yes, and the young women. For those of you, we actually had, how many young girls? Like
20.
a dozen. Yeah, 20. We actually had a group from Girls Inc. Sarah, who's joining us from Berkshire County, is the program director for Girls Inc. Berkshire County. She brought about 20 girls into the room, and out of the 20 girls, 6 got up and spoke about bullying. So that was powerful testimony. So for Berkshire County, welcome. We're excited to work with you. We're going to have an orientation, myself and the Berkshire commissioners, and we're going to have an orientation at some point in December. And we're going to start talking about things and kick it off in January. Oh, and please, does anybody know who is running the Berkshire County Facebook page?
I would love to know.
Something is happening over there, and I'm trying to find, because we need to get it. And I've been communicating with somebody.
We messaged the page.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we're okay, good, because we need to get that back. All right, so that's Berkshire County. We're delighted to have them. Yeah.
Welcome. Yes, sorry to throw you in the hot seat, Berkshire. We're so excited to ramp you up and bring you all together. And it was a delight to be out with you in Pittsfield a couple of weeks ago. So we're very excited for 2023 with the Berkshire County Regional Commission. Now, I know we have our wonderful Bristol folk on the Zoom. So whoever is presenting for Bristol, please take it away.
Hi, I am Stephanie Taylor, Chair of Bristol County. Our successes this year, we started this year with 3 commissioners, coming off COVID, coming off empty seats for years. We ended up getting 3 new commissioners, which made us the most diverse commission in the state. We had Rachel Rollins come in and swear them in. It brought a new excitement to the commission, particularly in Bristol County. As a result, we still had 4 seats to fill, which we just filled. And as a result, we had 13 applicants, which I guess I broke the record for in Bristol, and as far as applicants. And because of that, when looking at the applicants, it was very difficult to see, very difficult to choose just by paper who we were going to choose. Half of them I knew personally for different reasons in different work areas, but I'm going out and the new people coming in didn't know each other. So what we did was we had them all come in to interview, and we did it in a form of a cafe. And each of the five commissioners hosted a table and picked a question which had nothing to do with what was on their resumes or the application to be commissioner. It was like, what's your favorite book? Who inspired you to be in leadership? And every 10 minutes they rotated and got to meet each of us and answer each of our questions in that way. Ultimately, it wasn't a loss. It was a networking opportunity for everybody there, and I stressed that it wasn't a loss because it allowed us to connect with them to connect with us. And even if they didn't make the slots for commission, they can still participate in the commission and become committees and different work that needs to be done. So when I say I'm excited, I am excited. I'm excited and I'm sad because now I finally have a full commission, and now I just got to fizzle out, which I can still stand on in as oh my God, I just said the word. Now I have a brain freeze. As different committees, yes, but I'm just excited that finally we have a full commission. They're full of energy. They're capable. I see where they're going. I see the things they want to do. And I'm excited for that for them. Challenges for us have been the lack of commissioners. Like COVID really put us in a place that we weren't meeting. We were already struggling with not meeting even before COVID, and COVID just took it over. We lost commissioners for different reasons, health, this, that, whatever. So the challenges are we only meet once a month for an hour, and work needs to get done. For me, when I finally got the new 3 commissioners on, they came on in May, and then we had one more meeting, and then we were off for the summer. And so then when we came back in September, the reality of like, okay, how much can we get done in 3 months, with 1 hour meeting and what have you. So the priority was to just fill the seats. So now the seats are filled, work can be done. I'm excited for that. And as far as our legislative policies, we've been supporting anything that the State Commission has been supporting because we've been a holy commission like Swiss cheese. So anything the state supports, we definitely support if it has to do with women. And as far as being a community worker and an advocate in my community, I've had the opportunity to sit on a few hearings with my congressman regarding housing as well as food insecurity. And I think that as a commission, I know as a commission for the state and for the regionals, the housing crisis is an epidemic in Massachusetts, across the nation. Livable wages are not what people are making, and to be able to keep a roof over your head should not be something anybody stresses. When I'm sitting in these meetings talking about housing and food insecurity, I get so frustrated. It's great we have programs. Programs are great, but everybody can't get access to the programs. So the programs are band-aids to these situations when the root cause is the incomes are not livable. The cost of living exceeds what people are making. And we're living in a civilized country where people's basic needs are not being met. We're talking about a roof over your head. We're talking about food in your mouth. We're talking about basic needs. So that transpires to a whole lot of things when you don't have security of a roof over your head, food. It translates everywhere. So if we're talking about policies and initiatives, I'm always going to push for livable wages. You know, it makes no sense for people to work 40 hours a week and they can't enjoy the quality of life. And on that note, Bristol is out.
Rebecca, just to say it, Victoria from Hampshire Franklin says, brilliant. I love the model you described. Congratulations on getting your commission into such great shape.
Yeah, congratulations, Stephanie, on your amazing chairship, and we thank you so much for your service to Bristol and to the state. And next on our list is Cape and the Islands. Are you yay? Linda in the room?
Hi there. From the Cape and the Islands, our commission, our biggest success this year was we had our first listening circle in person. We also co-sponsored the listening circle with NAMI, with another organization, and we combined the listening circle with a presentation on children's mental health. Biggest challenges, what impedes the work? We're busy people, so the ability to give time to get something done is always a pressure point. Legislative priorities, and you can tell, I'm not gonna go through a song and a dance here. I'm pretty direct. Health related, the telesane issue. Pregnancy termination services are non-existent on Cape and the Islands. You have to travel off Cape, which is a very big burden for us because we have no public transportation to speak of. Internet medical and mental health appointments, while helpful, are no substitute for the in-person services. Mental health in general, we have a lack of providers on Cape and the Islands, and we need some bias training down here. Under incarceration, need for AA services, not just substance abuse. Substance abuse tags a person more negatively than alcohol abuse. When you're going for jobs, you're going for custody. We want access to families and children. We want to pursue the no cost call legislation again. So we're really hoping that the state will take that as a priority again.
Say it again.
No cost calls. Domestic violence, continued issues over access to legal assistance. And those here without legal standing are afraid to contact legal assistance. And we'd like to see a revision to the calculations on how the affordable housing dollar value for rental is calculated. The Cape has, and the islands have a huge swath of people that can afford to live anywhere. That goes into all those calculations, median income and all those calculations. We're coming up with $1,700 for one bedroom. That is not affordable housing. And so we would like to push for, yes, building more affordable housing, but also change the formula that somehow actually gets something done rather than come up with these kind of foolish numbers. That's us.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you so much, Linda. I could not even keep up. I was writing notes so fast. And
Did you email that to me?
yeah, okay. I didn't even remember to look at who's next. So Eastern Regional, I believe you are also on the Zoom, so.
Hi, everyone. So I'm here on behalf of our chairs, Amanda and Sumia. They did not give me any of their exciting updates, so I guess I can share just personally. I was selected as one of the members of the Healy Driscoll transition team, and I'll be serving as a member of the Jobs and Flourishing Economy for All team, and we start our work on Friday. So if you guys have anything you want to message you want to send in, or policies you'd like to see changed or added or considered, just let us know. And as far as the Eastern region, we completed our retreat about a month ago. We had a great year. I guess the successes is that we held a legislative breakfast in Dorchester. We honored school nurses, because I think sometimes when people talk about healthcare and everything that the communities have gone through, with respect to COVID, sometimes we forget the challenges that school nurses are facing. They're bridging education and healthcare. They're showing up every day for our kids, making sure that they're not only providing them with medical treatment, but also just being that bridge for so many different things. A lot of what we heard from them is it could be something as simple as helping them have clean clothes to make it through the day, or getting them resources if they're going through their cycle. So, pads and tampons and things that maybe you might take for granted, but it's so important for young people to have those things. We do have 3 new commissioners who've joined the commission, which makes us a full commission. And at our retreat this past, earlier this year, we actually voted in all of our officers and we were assigned into our specific committees. So the challenges, we're working on engaging more of the communities. We have a lot of territory to cover, particularly because we do cover Boston and some of the bigger cities like Quincy. And then the other thing is you have, because of the locations, we also have to be cognizant of making sure that things are equitable and we're allowing people to engage in this space with us and help us learn what the community needs. But we also have to meet their needs, which is focusing and being inclusive of communities that may be deaf, being inclusive of communities that may speak a different language, being inclusive of communities that may have a physical disability that could prevent them from actually participating in things like the legislative breakfast that we held because they have a lack of transportation or resources to meet us where we are. So we're going to be thinking about all of those challenges and the impact, looking at the impact that the pandemic has had. Our social media presence is non-existent. So if anybody out there knows who's managing our Facebook page, please share it, because we don't even know who has the password. So if anyone remembers a former regional commissioner who may have started it, please let us know. We would be happy to get that back up and running. One of the great things about the legislative breakfast, and I know Tamisha Civil is here, who's one of our commissioners. First, I just want to say congratulations to her. She ran a phenomenal race for state rep. She did just an amazing job. It was awesome seeing her in community and in a bunch of different spaces. I even saw her many times at ribbon cuttings for female and minority business owners who were opening new businesses. So that was really, really nice to see. And I was just proud to be able to serve alongside her in this commission. So what else we're doing, our legislative focus, we're going to be getting out into community and we're going to be starting our listening sessions so that we can work, and as I said, with all these different communities and understanding sort of what their needs are and how we can best meet their needs and address any and all concerns that they may have in spaces that involve women and girls. So thank you.
All right, thank you so much, and congrats on being on the transition team. Such an exciting time.
Yes.
Next we have Essex and my table mate. Come on up.
Yes. Essex, let's go.
Just with your height. Yes, let's go.
Okay, let's go, Essex. So my name is again Agar Winnie Okoye, and I'm the chair up in Essex. I have to first of all acknowledge the fact that in Essex we have, and I'm going to correct one of my sisters that said diverse, most diverse. I think the most diverse is probably Essex, right? But we're going to do the competition in a friendly manner. But I have to say and acknowledge the fact that my sister commissioners in Essex County, they make us look so good. And I want to especially acknowledge Commissioner Geeta Ramani. Geeta is literally the wind beneath our wings, and acknowledge in a special way our intern who is making us look fabulous. And I'm going to list the reasons why. Her name is Karishma Mystery, and she is a senior. Is she a junior? I think she's a junior at the UMass Amherst. And we had an intensely fulfilling and full year. So I'm just going to list line by line what it is that we did in Essex. we had a strong year. We started off 2022 by doing a self-care in light of the fact that coming up of the pandemic, a self-care seminar where we invited an outside speaker. Her name is Miss Breedy, and she sort of like kind of kicked off what it meant to enter a new year in the Zen spirit. So it was very, very helpful. So that was how we started our year. So our most significant accomplishment this year is the launch of our Ginsburg initiative, which essentially is mirroring my sister here, right here. It's an initiative for young women in Essex County. It's between 14 to 22 years. And we had interviewed 18 applicants from over, I want to say 15 towns that applied. And at the end of the day, we selected 10. Can I just say, incredible young women. I participated in some of the interviews and I just was so in awe of the fact that you think you're there to teach them. They're actually there to teach you. So they have kicked it off. Our amazing intern, Karishma Mystery, launched it out for us, and our fabulous Commissioner Amy Smith is the resident commissioner that sort of like works with this young women. So Amy, thank you very much. So February, Black History Month, we had the distinct honor of having one of our commissioners, Nicole McLean, educate us on what the Juneteenth meant. A lot of us were unaware of the actual implication of the Juneteenth, and she walked us through the PowerPoint presentation of the significance of the Juneteenth in the United States. So April, we thought a lot of women struggle with financial literacy. What can we do to make women more financially savvy, do more budgeting? And so we invited this outside speaker from Budget Buddies. Her name is Danielle Piscaldo. Danielle was incredible. I walked away from that seminar thinking, see why we should do more things like this, because you walk away just enriched. So that was our financial literacy thing that we did in April. Come May, in honoring of the Asian American History Month, we invited Danielle Kim, Afros Ken, and Chum Wen. These women, all of Asian American descent, came to talk about the implication of the culture in the American system. And so they just were so fabulous, inspiring conversation from May. In June, our very own resident, Commissioner Brianna Sullivan, did a presentation of the future of women's health care, and that was our event for June. So when I tell you Essex, we're not playing, we're not even done, okay? Thank you very much. So in October, just last month, we had, again, Sarah Stanley, our resident commissioner, who is the executive director of HAWK, Healing Abuse Working for Change, discuss domestic violence, which, you know, in recognition of Domestic Violence Month in October. So she discussed how you can, the various avenues to get help if you're going through as a survivor or as a victim, what your rights are in the workplace. And I said to myself, I do criminal defense work, and I didn't know that my clients could actually change a social security number as a result of someone who, I didn't know that. If you're a victim of abuse, you can walk in and get a social security number. That was news to me, but that was something that I learned from the seminar. So looking forward, we're looking to prioritize more, bring in more outside speakers, bless you, to discuss issues that are relevant, different issues that are relevant to women and girls. We're continuing with our community engagement. The goal coming into 2022 was to make sure that more women and girls serving organizations, that we collaborate more with them, because we realize that we might be busy doing something where there's actually some organization already that they've done a lot of stuff. So we might as well build on what they've done. And so collaboration is the key word going into 2023. We're proud of our Gainsburg initiative, very, very proud of it. And Commissioner Romani Gita, and that's why I recognized her. I said I have to recognize her. She has started building a new Essex County database for organization that will be like a melting point for everything related to girls and women. And I said to her too, and I said to my sister commissioners, Tina actually said that the state is actually doing something similar. So that would be a nice collaborative effort. And finally, it's in our radar that we will also do another survey, because we did a survey back in 2022 that informed our legislative priorities for back in 2021 that informed our legislative priorities for 2022. So we would also do a survey like that. And we're hoping then to use the survey to kind of like tailor what it is that we want to do. In terms of our priority legislations, it's a blessing. We have, just like with the state, we're closely aligned with the state's legislative priorities. The Common Start Bill is one of those. So I have to acknowledge the immense work Senator Joan Lovely's office been doing, helping us collaborate, actually monitoring all of our priority legislations and giving us heads up on the status where it is. So what the office will do, they will send us an update on what's going on with our priority legislation so that we know, should we keep working on that or should we then switch and get a new legislation in sight? So Common Start Bill, thank God, it's making a huge progress. It's currently before the Senate Ways and Means. Second priority, the act requiring one fair wage, still it's moving, favorable movement, we love it. The I Am bill, well, I think there's something that I forgot. There's a lady that spoke to us about diapers. And the reason that is so pertinent to this conversation is we talk about, there are people that can afford diapers in the United States. It's crazy, but yeah. So the I Am bill, which is the menstrual products in prison and homeless shelters and public schools, as everyone knows, it's led by the mass now. It's making significant progress, fingers crossed. And for me, my absolute favorite, the act relative to work and family mobility, yeah, passed. So there's not, no one is going to disturb that. It's the law of the land, and come June, everyone at least gets to drive and our roads are safer. So what are the challenges that we're experiencing? It's always been a question of how do we get, because I look around, all of you are privileged women. I dare say yes. We are looking to how can we get involved and engaged the women in Essex County that need our services. How can we better make this happen? So I guess we've been having a lot of conversations about the women who don't have the agency. Like all of us, see how we're standing tall and speaking. There are a lot of women who don't have that agency. So the goal is to work on bringing and working with organizations to bring in women like this into the fore so that we can essentially fulfill the mandate behind the commission's establishment. And that is Essex.
That is so many events.
Right?
I love that.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. Just so much great work happening in Essex. And I would love to find out. I mean, maybe we can have a tie for most diverse commission, but that is very exciting. So next we have Camden County, and I don't think there's anyone in Camden in the room, but I could be wrong. But if
We got right back.
oh, you slipped in.
Yes. Yeah, and just flag it at 6:20. We have the chair and the vice chair. Okay. Or the co-chairs, I guess, my chair.
Co-chairs. Hi, everyone. So I am the recently appointed chair of the Hampden County Commission. There are many issues that we care about as a commission, and we support all the initiatives, in the region and statewide. We have supported the no new jails or prison moratorium, because as you know, even though that's not in our region, it's obviously affecting women in the state, and we are very passionate about that.
One of our fellow commissioners mentioned the housing crisis, which I think is really critical to address. We have the Homes for All legislation that we should be supporting. And there's a lot of EJ, like climate and environmental and climate justice issues that affect our region specifically, with it being an industrialized area, you know, many years ago, but there's still a lot of invisible threats. And so we've dealt with, you know, gas pipelines, you know, getting rid of those. We stopped the biomass power plant, wood burning power plant. So because we're an environmental justice community, specifically in Springfield, is just something we have to address and keep, you know, our finger on the pulse of. All of those issues obviously affect men and women and children, not just women. So I just want to point that out, but most of these issues impact women disproportionately. So I was speaking with someone that works for Springfield No One Leaves, and she was telling me how many more women are evicted than anybody else. So we definitely all have to support that. My co-chair will speak on what we have upcoming. We have challenges, obviously, in the region, and you know, so much going on coming out of the pandemic. There's been transition within the commission, but I didn't realize how many commissions have issues of like filling seats and things like that. So we haven't really had that issue, which is a good thing, I guess. But with the transition, say that again.
The pandemic, yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
So I came in during the pandemic, so it's been kind of challenging just being a commissioner, because obviously there's so many things we want to do, but can't do but so much. I feel like this year things are picking up and we're going to take on more stuff locally and statewide.
Up into the frame. Hi, sister commissioners on the Zoom. How y'all doing? I made it. Halfway through, I was like, I don't know why I'm this. There's 27 of y'all on the video. Y'all have more sense than me. But here I am. Happy that there's folks in the room. So I am the vice chair of the Hampden County Commission. I have been a part of the Hampden County Commission since its start, when Ellen and I first joined. I think that was like 2016 or 2017. Yeah. And like my assistant commissioner chair here is saying, is that we're really looking at 2023 as an opportunity to get back into the swing of things and do some of the things that we did pre-pandemic coming into 2023. So some things that we are going to keep, and I don't think that any of our new commissioners will be anti-doing this, is we've always done traditionally a Black History Month panel featuring Black women of color who have given or contribute or working on issues that impact women and girls in our county. So we will continue to do that. We always do an International Women's Day event as well, and provide honorariums. So I'm really excited that grant opportunities are coming up again in the spring and will allow us to continue to provide honorarium for the women who come and participate in those panels. The other thing that we've done pre-pandemic that we are going to open up into discussion in our Thursday meeting next week with our commissioners is talking about whether or not we want to do an in-person hearing. It's something that we did pre-pandemic. Ellen will remember where we went to the Chicopee Boys and Girls Club and had young girls and women who had come to the hearing to talk about issues that are impacting them, which allowed us to really have a legislative breakfast after to talk with legislators about what issues that were impacting the region that aligned with bills that they were either sponsoring or not sponsoring yet. So I think that train of thought is something that we do want to do and do some kind of legislative breakfast. With redistricting and the current election cycle, we have seen some new changes in districts in our region and also some new changes of new legislators being elected. I'm gonna share next Thursday. I just, through my job, got a list of all of the new electeds in the state house and a background of who they are. I'm happy to share it with you, Ellen. But I will share that with our commissioner to see which of them falls. And of course, any of my sister commissioner from Hamden, Franklin, and Berkshire County, if you're looking for that, I'm happy to share it with y'all as well. So you can see who are the incoming folks in the region. I think it'll be really important for us to get in front of our new legislators and have them be familiar with us and know that we're also a resource in the region when it comes to women and girls and statistics on that. We did pre-pandemic do a statistical report where we did a survey of our region. I think that's important again to do, especially now that we're post-pandemic. It will be interesting to see how what are some of the residual effects of pandemic that are still seeping into 2023. And I think all of those things can be really combined in a real substantive way. It's really great to have Ellen on board, who I know has a lot of experience with communications, media, and social media management. So really looking to partner with Sister Commissioner Ellen to talk about ways that we can really streamline doing a survey of our region in a really robust way where we can get a good number of respondents. So those are some things that we're thinking about, but we do have literally majority brand new commissioners on our commission. And so I'm sure that when we meet and discuss, they might have some really great new ideas, fresh ideas, or want to do some of those things or none of those things. So we're looking forward to having that conversation next Thursday. I will definitely share out any upcoming things that we think of that might be beneficial for all of you to learn from or to participate in. We've certainly done joint events in the past as well. That's it. Thank you.
And Victoria from Hampshire says that all of the Hamden County Commissioners, including the chair, welcome new chair, apologies to Mr. Name.
Jacqueline Velez. I just wanted to give a shout out to Shanique because we worked on the Fair Share Amendment ballot initiative. She kicked ass. We won that, right? We're taxing millionaires in our state. That money's going to transportation and education. And it was a privilege and an honor to work alongside her. She built an awesome BIPOC team, and yeah, we were rocking it.
Yes, I put hashtag real grassroots.
Yes, well done. Thank you so much, Hamden. And I am also glad you're in the room. So I know it's love you all on the Zoom, but it's great to be here together. And I love that y'all are having hearings to pull out ideas to bring to legislators. That's what it's all about. And I do just want to shout out our state commission is also working on reports. Some of you wonderful regional commissioners have helped us in the past. We're with our new robust staff. Our awesome research and program director, Shalea, is spearheading our surveys and reports. So I love Ellen and you should always partner with her, but please also don't forget about the other resources that the state commission can connect you with as we are embarking on similar projects. So with that, I will turn it to Hampshire Franklin, and I do think Hampshire Franklin is on the Zoom, but if you're not, correct me. So jump on in, Hampshire Franklin.
We are definitely Zooming, and I hope Victoria will unmute herself and make this something of a duo here. Because Victoria is definitely, I think of her as the Energizer Bunny. Our commission is small, but actually we have some very powerful members who are very well connected and do some wonderful things. And hopefully we will be less small as we are hoping to have a new commissioner approved by the state to join us before the end of December, and that would really be wonderful. And hopefully we can keep finding new commissioners to join us. And I did actually, when I saw I was going to have to present stuff, I wrote out a list of things we had done. And then I'm looking at this going, wow, did I say that? That's amazing. But anyway, in June of 2021, we did hold a remote public hearing on the issue of food insecurity that was attended by most of our local representatives. One of the strengths of our commission is that we have really good relationships with our legislators, personal relationships. One of our commissioners, Laura Sylvester, is the lobbyist for the Food Bank of Western Massachusetts. And so she is very well connected to all of our local legislators. And I should shout out to Jen Ortiz as well. So we have two commissioners who work for the food bank and have tuned us all into the issues of food insecurity, which is one of the issues that we really want to excel in. Let me put it that way. So anyway, that hearing that we had was super fun because everybody brought a recipe, their favorite recipe to make with local foods. And it was just a really dynamic, fun hearing. In June of 2022, and maybe Victoria will jump in here because she's masterminded this relationship that we still have with Smith College and the Jandon Center. And we had a wonderful hearing that was really run by the students. But Victoria, can I toss that over to you to talk about what it was, how it happened, and where it's going?
So, similar to the experience with the UMass intern, we found that, can you hear me? Working with the interns is great. Smith was looking for a way to engage students during the pandemic, and we were looking for a way to hear from youth in our community and understand their concerns. So we partnered with the Jandon Community Center, and our intern organized a hearing where we had presentations from students about the issues that they cared about. And they were diverse and many, and a lot of good work was done. We were able to get a representative on the call too. So she was able to immediately in the moment respond to students and help carry their issues forward. So issues ranged from books in prison to what are the trans services in Northampton and the area to, I mean, you name it. They had a whole bunch of stuff. They were so excited by what happened that they'd asked if we would continue the relationship and show up at Smith, and Marcia and I are going on Friday, develop this relationship where we can help youth learn about how legislation works and the importance of knowing and working with your legislators. And we can also learn about the areas of concern. So it takes quite a bit of work, as whoever worked with the intern knows, but it's a great relationship. We just completed this month. One student took all of the information from our resource guide, which I love it. Tina, I tried to be able to put the link to our site. I think it's up on the state page, but we created a local resource guide that an intern helped us with too. And so it's really, we're trying to build bridges into the local community through Smith and other resources. I think it would be great if we could expand that to high schools as well. So we're just sorting through all of those issues. It's one foot in front of the other, but it's a fruitful and really engaging and educational experience for all concerned.
Another positive thing I do have to say is one of the founding commissioners who came on when I did, Bonnie McCracken, who is another one of these people who just knows everybody. She had taken a leave of absence and she just came back, and that's thrilling. And within a week of her coming back, she reached out to me and said, there's a domestic violence walk in Ware. Do you want to come? And so we went. We had bags with our logo on it that we had made before the pandemic that were sitting in my basement, hundreds of them. And we gave them out at the walk. People loved them, but what was totally awesome is that this domestic violence walk, which has happened every year for several years. They skipped the pandemic years, but it was organized by a group of students at Ware High School. And so I'm really hoping that that will be one way for us to get ourselves hooked into high school kids, because, you know, that's really where it should begin. But as many other commissions have said, we are, to some extent, we're in a stage of rebuilding. And everybody's gone through the same thing as we have in the pandemic. We used to be, you know, we all used to be Energizer bunnies and go to, you know, pride marches, and because it was fun, that was energizing, and go to voting demonstrations. And that just came to a screeching halt. And hopefully we will be able to pick up some of that again. So I wrote these goals for the next fiscal year. And when I read it to myself, I was like, wow, that's profound. Did I really say that? I did it weeks ago. So obviously, first and foremost, we need to recruit new members. We have to improve on our own outreach within the community, which became very difficult during the pandemic. And make more use of our legislative relationships, which we're very lucky, they're very good. And also we need to be better with social media outreach, which, you know, we actually have one member, Jen Ortiz, that I mentioned, who's the youngest member of the commission. And so of course she's really good with social media. So hopefully we'll get better at that. And, you know, I said we will continue our relationship with Smith College. Obviously, we're doing that. And so hopefully we'll just continue doing what we have always done best. And, you know, the pandemic is not over. Can't say that. It'll never be over, but there's so much more that we can be doing now with no excuses.
So, and let me just add to Marcia's point, we really do need help doing our outreach. Like, I think we need to pull Ellen in. We can put on any tremendous program that needs to be put on. What we can't figure out how to do is to draw the audience. So probably talking to Liz too. We've struggled a lot with that. And I feel like that is an area, I don't know if we're the only commission struggling with it. I look at Hamden and they're great at it. They reach out to their community, they get their people to show up. We are not as good, and that's an area where we could use some help.
Thank you so much, Hampshire. And sorry to the 3 commissions that we haven't gotten to yet. We're going to take a quick break from these wonderful updates. And I really do mean wonderful as a Smith College graduate. Thank you very much. That's amazing. And I want to turn it over to Meredith to introduce our guest speaker, Karen Martin from the Investing in Girls Alliance. So we will return to everybody else's wonderful updates, never fear.
Thank you, sister. Back into the view. All right, thank you, ladies. I know we are sharing so much information, and this is why we so enjoy the regional convenience. But we have Dr. Martin who's with us online. Oh, there she goes. Isn't that a striking blue on her? Go ahead, Dr. Karen. Yes. So Investing in Girls Alliance. The Investing in Girls Alliance, Girls Inc. and all these other girls organizations, I don't know what year, I can't remember what year. It was early, like in the mid 2000s. So we all started working together on pulling together girls legislations and things here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And we partnered up with when they created Investing in Girls Alliance with MCSW. And we've been in a partner relationship ever since. We're not going to then 2 years ago, no, before the pandemic, they brought Dr. Martin on, Dr. Karen on, and she's not going anywhere. Not if we can help it. I'm going to definitely work with Dodie and Miriam. You're stuck, right?
One of you now, yep.
So, and she's phenomenal in data and research. And they pulled together this really awesome benchmark, and she's going to share with us today some of that information. And our hopes to possibly reach out and do more with the regionals around her work. So Dr. Martin, Karen, love it.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate the invitation to be here and to talk about some of the research that we've gathered around middle school girls. And I'm going to share my screen, I think, so that you all can see this presentation. You know, I'm good with the math, but not with the computers. So I'm hoping you all can see that in your side by side. Resume the slideshow. Is that working for everyone?
Yes.
That's good.
Perfect. Okay. So Investing in Girl Alliance, as Meredith said, that our goal is to improve services for middle school girls, especially in central Massachusetts, through research, education, advocacy, collaboration. And we have 3 priority areas: health and wellness, economic empowerment, violence, and safety. And our goal overall is to change and, of course, challenge the fact that girls receive much less philanthropic dollars than any other group. So the data that I'm going to share with you tonight came from the Greater Worcester Regional Health Survey. So the larger survey is actually the Youth Risk Behavior Survey, and that's a national survey. It's held by the CDC, and it's administered throughout school districts. So the data that I have access to comes from Worcester, and this is the 2021 data, which was done, it was taken from our students in the December 2021 area. So it's less than a year old, which is very quick for data turnaround. When we're looking at the Greater Worcester, you want to look at your region or you want to look at the state as a whole. The CDC publishes that data. Right now, they're working on publishing 2019 data. They are far behind. And one of the advantages is that we have this data much more quickly. And so it's always my goal to turn that data into information that I can share with all of you. So here are the demographics. We have middle school students. There are 5,164 who are enrolled. There were 4,500 middle school takers, and about 2,200 of them identified as female. And one of the advantages of this set of data is that we could ask an additional question. So 17% or so of those female identifying middle schoolers told us that they also participate in a girls serving organization. So that's amazing data for us because it helps us speak with one voice about the power of girls serving organizations. We also are able to break this data out by the race and ethnicity that the girls chose in this data. So you can see this here. One thing to remember is that when it's a smaller group, so if you look at American Indian, Indigenous population, it's only 1.4% of the overall group. So it's a little bit suspect, but it's still valid data to look at. We also received the high school data. So in that case, about 4,200 survey takers identified as female. So I'm going to walk through some of the data that we received, and it's I'm picking and choosing. Tina was able to share with all of you, I hope, the greater report. So that report is quite large and intense, but it has all of that information. So here, because this is a priority area, we're talking about health and wellness, in particular mental health. So the question is asked in the past 30 days, how often was your mental health not good? So it's a confusing question. But what we see is that in 2021, so 1 year post real pandemic and some things are resuming, what we're seeing is that about a third of our girls are telling us that about half the time, sometimes their mental health is not good. So in my opinion, our mental health is sometimes not good. Sometimes we have tough days. Sometimes we have situations that test us. So for me to have a third of the girls in this sometimes category is a positive thing. But if we look at the girls who say their mental health was never not good, which means that they always had positive mental health, we're seeing about 16% of our girls saying that. And if we say that our mental health was not good all the time, then we're looking at about 8% of our girls. So overall, there's sort of a bell curve here where most girls are telling us that their mental health is positive, about 60%. Now, remember, it's a confusing question, right? One of the things that we were able to do with that 2021 GSO girl group is that's the 386 girls who tell us that they're part of a girl serving organization. So if we look at their data, what we see is that they're about the same sometimes. So there's a few more of those girls, 3% more, saying that sometimes their mental health is not good. But they're also more likely to be on the never or the all the time side. And one thing that we looked at with this is that it's likely that our girls in girl serving organizations are more likely to be talking about their mental health and can identify the positive and the negative of their mental health. So this was a really interesting question for us. We also know that our girls' mental health is a big crisis right now for our girls. They are needing more support with that, especially in those positive impacts around maintaining positive mental health. So this was a very interesting question that was started in that survey. When we look at high school girls, the question was asked differently. It was asked, in the past 30 days, how often was your mental health not good? So when we look at the dark purple, what we see is about the same, 33% or so of our girls are saying, more or less sometimes. We're seeing that 12% say it's never not good, which is always positive. She's a very positive person. And then about 12% of our girls are saying it is always not good, which is a very difficult number to look at. But the question also said, how often during the COVID-19 pandemic was your mental health not good? And what we see is that those lighter purple colors, there were many more girls who were saying that their mental health was not good during the pandemic, but that it's swinging back to what I would consider to be a normal sort of curve of mental health. Now, there's nothing to compare this to because it's a one-time question, but it is an interesting thing to look at in terms of mental health. The real questions that they ask repeatedly of our middle school girls are about mental health. And the two questions they ask is, have you felt sad or hopeless that you stopped doing usual things? And have you ever thought seriously about killing yourself? And this is real data that makes us want to start having more questions and conversations around positive mental health, because from 2019, where it was pretty steady, 33% of girls, that's 1 in 3, telling us that they stopped doing usual things because of their mental health, that number jumped to almost 1 in 2. And so over the pandemic, there was a decline in girls' positive mental health. Have you thought seriously about killing yourself? This number has been increasing, and that increase to 28% is a statistically significant increase, where it's about 1 in 3 girls have seriously thought about killing themselves. And these are middle school girls, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders in this mental health data.
That's really,
it's distressing, yes. When we look at mental health, we can also break this out by girls by their race and ethnicity data. And so this is a more complex sort of conversation. But if we remember from the previous slide that 45% of girls overall tell us that they've stopped doing usual things, and then we look at it by race and ethnicity, we can see that it happens more frequently with girls who identify as African American and Black. It occurs more frequently in multiracial girls. It's about the same in girls who are American Indian, Indigenous. All of these race and ethnicities become much more something for us to look at and consider. When we go back to killing ourselves, thinking about killing ourselves, that's 28% of girls overall. But if we look at girls who are African American and Black, they're more likely to tell us that they've seriously considered killing themselves. Our girls who are white, Caucasian, European American are less likely. And so it is important to identify our girls and make sure that not only are we addressing their mental health as girls, but we're also identifying their mental health and addressing that with the communities that they identify with. When we look at physical health, which is part of health and wellness as well, in 2021, we do see a decline. We see an increase of the number or the percentage of girls overall, middle school girls, who are active for 60 minutes or more. So the girls who are not active for any days for 60 minutes or more has increased to 17.5%. Those girls who are active 5 days or more has decreased to 34%. And those who are active 7 days or more has decreased as well. So our girls are getting less physical activity. This is from 2021 data. So where we were making positive increases, we've lost that over the pandemic. One of the places where we can see an impact of girl serving organizations is that if you compare this to the girls from 2021 who say they're in girl serving organizations, about the same percentage of them tell us that they get no exercise, but they're more likely to be active for 5 days or for 7 days. So this is one of the impact areas. Sleep, however, we're not so lucky. So our girls from 2019, what we're seeing till 2021 is that we're seeing more girls getting less sleep. And so this continues to be a trouble point in terms of health and wellness for our girls, the lack of sleep that they're getting. For physical health, we also look at use of substances. So tobacco, alcohol, marijuana usage has all decreased over the pandemic. And of course, this can be sort of attributed to access. Most of our girls probably lacked more access to these over 2020, and that continued into 2021. So this is maybe a positive outcome. We also want to look at our girls and see sexual health. Have they been taught about sexual health? Have they been taught about healthy relationships? So this was declining 2017 to 2019. And I know within Worcester, this is something new. The new sexual health curriculum has been approved and has been started. I think the decline from 2019 to 2021 is attributed to the online learning that happened, because when we scrambled to provide virtual school, we perhaps identified those priority areas where kids were having learning loss and maybe didn't prioritize sexual and healthy relationship education. But that's a conjecture on my part as a researcher. When we look at our girl serving organization girls, they're slightly more likely to tell us that they have ever been taught about sexual health or healthy relationships. And again, that is likely due to the girl-centric nature of conversations or programming that we're providing at girl serving organizations. So this is, again, a positive impact in investing in girls. We can also look at this as our groups of girls by race and ethnicity. So we're looking at sexual health, if you've been taught about it, and healthy relationships. And this is definitely a place where we can start looking at girls by race and ethnicity and what their perception of what they're taught is. Is there a question?
No.
Nope. Okay.
I'll open for questions. Go ahead.
All right, well, wait till then. So violence and safety, one of the big questions is about bullying and violence. And so electronic bullying and then bullying on school property. So moving to 2019, there were positive impacts. We were sort of stemming that tide of electronic bullying and bullying in person on the school properties. In 2021, everyone went home. In 2021, we're back at school. And what we're seeing is that increase back to pre-2019, so 2017 again. So we didn't learn anything in the pandemic about bullying, and it's back to the levels where it had been prior to the pandemic and prior to that even. So any positive impact that we made had stopped. And then if we look again at our girls by race and ethnicity, then we can see that certain girls are more likely to report that they're being electronically bullied or bullied on school property or electronically bullied on school property, which is one of the fun things about this data, is how it sort of asks the same question 6 ways, right? We can also look under violence and safety under sexting for middle school girls. So sexting, you know, is becoming more and more of a problem. I know there was a few, the BRACE conference that happened in 2019 with all of this work. So our middle school girls, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, about 2% tells us that they've sent a nude or sexually suggestive picture of themselves. Have you received those pictures? Becomes 13 or 14%. Has anyone asked you to send a picture? Was 16% in 2019, but then it dropped to 12.2 in 2021 for those questions about that. And the big interesting thing here is that when we look at the high school girls, the numbers, of course, exponentially increase. So those who have sent in a high school a nude or sexually suggestive picture of themselves becomes almost 1 in 5. Have you received those pictures? 1 in 3. Have you been asked for them? It's creeping up to almost, 50%. So 1 in 3, 1 in 4 girls are being asked to send pictures. So sexting is still a big problem for our girls in that space. The other part of our priority areas are the economic empowerment screen time. So online use, of course, exponentially grew over the pandemic and into 2021, and that persists. And so now we're looking at 40% of our girls are using 5 hours of screen time on things that are not schoolwork. So even if you're using school or you're doing homework after school, they're still finding 5 hours to be on their phones or on screens. And then 3 hours is 71%. That's more than 2 out of 3 girls are spending 3 hours or more on their phones or on their screens. One of the factors of economic empowerment especially is supports that girls receive. And so these are new questions that started in 2019, just in time to show us the difference pre and post pandemic. And one of the questions was, I have an adult in my life who I trust and who I can talk to. And that decreased over the pandemic. And we've seen this in other places of research, especially with middle school girls. The Girl Scouts did a big study about social media and media. And one of the things that they found is that middle schoolers, even though they're essentially surrounded by adults most of their day, they very rarely will tell you that they have an adult that they can talk to and who they can trust. And if you ask them if they have more than one adult who they can talk to and trust, that number plummets to about 30%. So this was an interesting question to put here, and to see that it's 80.2%, that's 4 out of 5 girls say that they have one adult that they can trust and talk to. And then the other question was part of a group in my community that cares about me. And that dropped from 82 to 70% over that pandemic. When we look at our girls who are asked the same questions in groups of race and ethnicity, then we can see that some of those are even more significant. We see that white, Caucasian, European American girls are more likely to say they have an adult who they can talk to. Girls who are African American and Black are less likely to say that they have an adult that they can trust. When we look at the groups and communities, especially Hispanic and Latina girls are much less likely to tell us that they are part of a group in their community that cares about them. And so this is all just information to start those conversations. Or, I was listening to you all talk about talking to your groups of girls and asking them a question like this that says, in this data, it says, what do you think about that? As those opening questions. The other questions that were asked have to do with self-efficacy, and self-efficacy is related to confidence, but it's different. The way that I explain self-efficacy versus confidence is I use my 16-year-old daughter. She is the most confident person that she can drive a car. She has all the skills. I'm 100% I can do this. But when we put her in the driver's seat and started explaining things, she panicked, right? So the difference is confidence is thinking you can do something. Self-efficacy is actually having the skills to do it. So we asked questions that were based on self-efficacy, which are, I know that I can handle most problems that come my way, and that declined through the pandemic. And the other thing is, I have something in my life that I am good at, and that declined significantly over the pandemic. And when we look at our girls by race and ethnicity, we had some good conversation at our Investing in Girls meetings about what it means to have something in my life that I'm good at, and what it means for girls, particularly African American and Black girls, to not be too good at things. And so that was a very interesting conversation that happened to talk about the factors in their lives that perhaps I don't think about every day when I'm doing their research. And so again, conversation starters. The other future expectations questions, I see myself going to college or educational training. There's adults who talk to me about planning my future. And I like thinking about my future, and I'm hopeful about it, which is the biggest decline in those sort of future expectations. So I've been doing research on middle school girls since about 2006. And future expectations have always been something that has amazed me, that our middle school girls they have very hopeful and very positive future expectations. And I've watched this decline consistently since 2008. And this is very concerning to me, that girls can no longer envision a positive future for themselves in many ways. And when we look at this by girl serving organizations, here's one place where girls who are involved with all girl activities, girl serving organizations, they have much better future expectations. They like thinking about their future more likely. They're more likely to say they have adults who talk to them about planning their futures. I see them myself going to college or educational programs much more prevalent as an answer. And again, we can look at these numbers through girls who are identified by race and ethnicity and look at those differences of adults who talk to them about their future and thinking about their future as well. And so my final slide is just talking about the impact of girl serving organizations. Consistently, when we talk about the impact of our girl serving organizations, we see that they have better income or outcomes. They have better insulation against those sort of risk factors. And then we've decided to start working on benchmarks, which I think Meredith talked about just a little bit. So Investing in Girls Alliance has been working on a series of benchmarks which allow organizations to look at what it takes for a girl to thrive and integrate those into our girl serving organization programs to hopefully further increase the impact of the girl serving organizations as we go through them. So that's my last slide, and I'm wondering if there are questions.
Questions, ladies? No?
Comments?
In chat, questions, comments, and also online. Yeah.
I have a question. So I'm curious, how might this be shared with school districts, like even beyond Worcester? I know that the mental health services and support for young people is really, lacking, and particularly counselors of color. And I'm wondering how we might be able to share this information with our respective school districts, because I really think it's an epidemic across the state. I know this was
absolutely,
but what recommendations do you have as to how we can, be having these conversations with the leaders in our school systems?
That's a great question. And it is exactly the point of this data, is to start those conversations. So my recommendation is to say, to start with the overall document that was shared, which is the report, The Status of Girls, which is much more in depth. It gives more information, and it actually has a lot more slides than I have that I can share with you tonight. And pick out the things that you like about that. So there's an executive summary, there are keynotes that are in there, and then there's all of the slides, all of the charts, all of those pieces, and do that to start sharing in that way, so that you have that door opener to start that conversation and share that information. Invite them to join Investing in Girls, invite them to participate in our benchmark trainings. All of you are obviously invited to participate in benchmark trainings for all of these. So we have a benchmark training December 7th for mental health. And I can share that link with Tina. She can share it with everyone if someone would like to join, if anyone would like to join us for that.
We, Dr. Martin, we get that, Shaitia and myself.
You'll be up.
Email, so we can, Shaitia can certainly share it out.
Absolutely.
Yes. So I saw a question about girl serving organizations. Girls, we, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Women, Status of Women, we are a GSO because we are Status of Women and Girls. So girl serving organizations or organizations such as MCSW, things like that.
Exactly.
Comments, statistics, very disturbing statistics.
Yes. So concerned about those, and everyone in your packet, we did print out for you in the packet. Also, I know Tina, we had talked about possibly doing something benchmark just for the regionals, Dr. Martin. So we'll also talk about that. We can kind of think about how to do it within your region, specifically.
Yeah, one more question. I'm sorry. This is fascinating, and it fits well with our girls group did a climate survey last year, and they found a lot of the same things, although much smaller survey. I'm curious, is there any pending legislation right now that would specifically address? I know there was a mental health access bill that was passed in August, but about mental health access specific to schools. Recognizing that that's where a lot of young people, middle and high school, are going to have that access. There isn't.
I'd say
So one of the questions that I always ask is if you, I always, when I start a presentation, I didn't do it here because there's too many people online, I think, is if you had a girl come to you and she was in crisis, mental health crisis, could you connect her with services? And most legislation that I've seen, most work in schools has been focused on girls in crisis. If someone is in crisis, they have the correct links or the connections or people to be able to help her. What we are lacking is training around positive mental health. So if I ask about how many of you, when you work with girls, when you have your girl groups, when you have your girl focus groups or your conversation groups, do you start with a 2-minute sort of focus exercise that teaches a positive mental health sort of practice? And we rarely find that. And so that's what's still missing in all of this, is how do we teach our girls to be insulated from some of these mental health stresses, to teach them the process of refocusing or the process of maintaining their positive mental health in the face of all the stresses that they're facing. And this was a problem before the pandemic. The pandemic exacerbated it and put it to the forefront in that way.
Thank you. I see that our ED dropped the invite to the training in the chat. So we can send it out from there. If you're online virtually, you can snatch it out of the chat. It's in the chat already. All right. Did I see any more hands, comments, questions of the ladies over there? All righty. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Dr. Martin, I want to commend your work and really think take special innovation. A little louder than microphone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
she said she commends your work. Go ahead. What's the other one? She's coming. She's coming.
Thank you for your work. I just wanted to know, like, how did you get the questions out to the young women and young girls, and also convince them to answer the questions as honestly as possible? You know, I don't know if it was anonymous, but you know, like convincing them, making sure that you get accurate data from it.
Yep, so that's a great question. This data comes from the youth risk behaviors data. It's done in the schools, so they can opt out of it, but generally the girls in the schools do answer the questions, so do the boys, but we get the girls' data. And we get the data from it because of our relationship with the Fred Harris Daniels Foundation and the Investing in Girls Alliance, who works with the Department of Health to give us the actual data, not just the answers to the questions or any of those pieces, so that I can manipulate it and look at it, and I can do that much quicker than the state can. So that's how we get the data. One of the questions in the answers is, how honest were you in this survey? And kids can answer that. So I can weight data by kids who told me that they were more honest or less honest during the survey. And it does ask a considerable more number of questions than the ones that we look at in our priority areas. In June, we'll be having, IIGA will be sponsoring a training in data collection that it sounds like you might be interested in. And so look for that upcoming, because I'm going to do a training with anyone who's interested in the best ways to collect data from girls. That isn't, here's a survey, write it down, or promising that it's confidential or anonymous and hoping they tell you what you need to hear, but finding other ways to collect data quickly and efficiently from girls in large groups, or girls who are doing activities, or girls who are meeting with you in focus groups. So that might be something that you're interested in as well.
Thank you. Thank you. So you know what I'm wondering, Tina, maybe what we should do is get each regional to be a part of the IIGA network. So that way, I know Worcester County is, I know you are, I know, but I'm just saying. But yeah, so that way we can make sure that each regional is getting the information direct, and we don't have to send it out to you in case we miss it.
Yeah, that
you
would
know.
be good.
Yeah.
And it might make sense for your jelly point people,
Yes.
because a lot of you have been giving me to add them to this.
Yes, right?
Yep.
All right.
Would love to have them. So one last point I see in the chat that people are asking for the presentation. I unfortunately can't share the presentation with you. That's part of the collaboration with DPH, is that I can't share things that I present, but I can definitely share that status of girls report, which is why you were all received that. And so the slides, you can build your own slides from that. Everything is in there that I shared with you, and what much more. So I'm sorry that I can't share that, and I didn't tell you that at the beginning. But thank you for the invitation tonight to share, because it's really important to start those conversations and keep having them, and to fund them in all of the data that's, what girls tell us. So
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you
Yes.
very much.
thank you. Thank you all, and thank you all for the work that you do.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, looking at the time, I know we skipped over, we skipped a break and we had ran over time, and we have four regionals still to go with your best practices and so on. So can I ask, ladies in the room, do you need a 5-minute break or something? The ladies' room and ladies on screen that I can't see, do you need a 5-minute break to walk away? Might need the ladies' room break or something. Raise your hand, let us know. Oh, behind the pole, are you all set over there, lady? All right. Daitia, you need a Lorenzo break? I see something. So let's do a 5-minute break. All right, 5 minutes is good for everybody. Thank you, ladies. Yes.
And I'm just gonna mute us, so feel free to speak at. Maybe, yeah.
I want to sign up for that game.
All right, ladies, we are back. We are back.
Folks, can you online? Are folks there?
All right, we're ready to start. I will unmute us. You did? Thank you.
My friends, are you online? Can show a sign of life. Victoria, thank you for having your camera on. So we're going to return quickly, although we love this portion of the program. I was wrong before. We don't have 3, we have 4 commissions left. And from the commission that sent the most people in person, we're going to turn to Metro West and hear from them. And then we're going to get through our other 3 as well, but keep the time in mind because we all want to learn about the handbook. So.
Yes, yep. Hello, sisters. My name is Heather Panaki, and I've had the wonderful privilege of co-chairing the Metro West Commission with my dear sister Stephanie for the last year. And prior to that, I was chair by myself for 2 years. This is my last time addressing you as a chair. I will be handing over the torch. We will be handing it off to Lisa McDonald, she'll wave in the back, our new chair, and Julie Watt-Fakir, who is our vice chair. We're very excited. So I'm going to just go through a list. I am not as organized as Augur. I'm not doing this by month. This is called Stream of Consciousness, typing in the car while Stephanie's driving in stormy weather. So we started with a retreat in March, and it was an awesome retreat. We had both members of our Athena Council there and members of the commission. It was the first time we were all together in a really long time. And at that time, we did some icebreakers and we got to know each other. And we also planned for the year, came up with our legislative priorities, etc. So I'm just going to list off some of the things we've done this year. Stephanie and I and Leslie Smart, who's one of our commissioners who's not here tonight, she was our vice chair. We attended the prison moratorium event in Framingham earlier this year. Our Athena Council hosted their first ever ice cream social for local and state elected officials to discuss the work that they did on the mental health needs of teen girls in the Metro West region. It was very well attended. And just a few days after they gave this, or they hosted this social, we were invited to Senate President Spilka's office, where our Athena Council got to meet with her Youth Advisory Council, and together they shared some of their ideas about, I just totally lost my list. I am so embarrassed and sorry. Okay. They were able to share their ideas. We got to be on the Senate floor, actually, when the Senate voted to override Charlie Baker's veto of the Working Family Mobility Act. And then our Athena councils were recognized by Senate President Spilka on the floor. It was really exciting. They also had a write-up in the paper, which was really cool. Stephanie and I have hosted 2 roundtable discussions with legislators in our region to discuss the limitations of current domestic violence prevention and response policies, and to feel out the possibility for new legislation. We also, as a group, participated for the 4th year in the Purple Passion 5K walk run. None of us ran. Sponsored by Voices Against Violence. And Stephanie and I also were invited to be guests on the Framingham Access TV show program, hosted by Audrey Hall, one of the state commissioners, to talk about our work in domestic violence. We hosted a Juneteenth bookmark competition for middle schools in the Metro West, and we had probably about 85 entries in total. We had winners in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. They were amazing. If you want to see them, check out our Facebook page in the photo section. And teachers actually reached out to us to say that because we sponsored this bookmark competition, they actually used it as an opportunity to teach about Juneteenth for the first time with their students. Our new chair, Lisa McDonald, organized and hosted an event in June to recognize the 50th anniversary of Title IX, and the panel discussion both talked about how far we've come, but also how far we still have to go. We created a Metro West Read program, which is an online regional book club that was really created to explore DEI issues and discuss how our region can become more responsive to the needs of our citizens. We've had 2 so far. The 3rd one we had to cancel because it was too close to the election in November, and we didn't have a lot of interest. It was right around Veterans Day, actually. Our Athena Council hosted their first retreat on their own in October, and they welcomed 3 new members and began to plan out their year. We are getting ready to launch a new program called Our Communities, TEAS, where we are going to be bringing together advocacy and interest groups specific to the ethnic, religious, and racial identities of people in the Metro West region, so that we can begin building partnerships and hearing directly from these constituents about the challenges that they're facing. One of our commissioners, Ms. Eva Mannon, is the one who's the point person on this, and our first one will be taking place in January at the mosque in Hopkinton, where we will be hearing from Muslim women in our community.
Wow.
Challenges. Well, as we all know, COVID has brought a lot of challenges, and I think one of the things that we're really struggling with is trying to bring people back into in-person meetings. We've got way too comfortable with Zoom, and that is something we're really trying to overcome, is bring people together. We also had 2 commissioners that had to quit in the middle of their term because of personal reasons, and so we actually lost 2, and then we have a 3rd that's leaving. She's terming out in December, so we will be starting with a lot of fresh meat, so to speak, as we move into January. But we're really excited because we've chosen 3 new commissioners, and they'll be joining us in January. I've already shared our new chair and vice chair. Oh, a couple more things. Stephanie was a featured panelist on the celebration of women's suffrage organized by Framingham Library and Framingham State. Julie will be organizing an event for us in March that will focus on the state of and future of caregivers and caregiving in Massachusetts. And at present, Senator Spilka has agreed to participate, as well as the legislative director of AARP. Legislative priorities are ditto, a lot of what everybody said. I'm not going to restate them, but I do want to just remind everyone that there are several bills that all of us, or many of us, have been supporting for years. Healthy youth is one of them. The compliance with the anti-shackling law, these are still bills that have yet to be passed, and we'd really love to see them pass in this next legislative session. We have specifically chosen legislation this year to cover women in all ages. So we have everything from educational bills all the way up to caregiving. So that's sort of a snapshot, and we're super excited about what this next year brings and about our new leadership. So thanks, everybody.
Can I ask you to say after, I'm sorry, we had a comment online. Sure. Victoria from Hampshire wants to know more details about that bookmark competition. How was it promoted? How were submissions made to you?
Yeah, so we created a spreadsheet of all of the principals and vice principals of all of the middle and high schools in the Metro West region. And we sent a letter with a description of the events and said that anybody could enter. We had a prize, which was that, and this is what we used some of our funding for, was that any student who won, we would print bookmarks with their image on it, that they drew for the entire school. And then they also won a Target gift card. I think it was for $25, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, we just sent it out, and then people started sending stuff in, and we had one teacher who made it a project in her 6th grade class. And they actually sent us a big envelope, and it was just, I get chills thinking about it. It was so joyful. We all met in Panera, a few of us. It was Julie, me, and I think Steph, and we just, and Leslie. Yeah, and we had a table filled with these beautiful bookmarks celebrating the Juneteenth holiday. And I tell you, they were just, it was hard to pick winners, but we ended up having a winner in one of 3 different middle schools. We actually didn't have any high school entries. So, but 85 middle school was pretty impressive.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's how we did
said
it.
the sharing is really important.
Absolutely, no problem.
Awesome. Excellent.
All right, Plymouth, I think online. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Metro West.
Carolyn, yeah.
Carolyn, go for it.
Hi, sorry, I just need to adjust my volume real quick. So I'm Carolyn from Plymouth County. I'm the acting chair right now. And our successes have been, we received the grant that we had applied for, and we have plans to utilize that for a legislative gathering in the late winter, early spring. We have almost completed the distribution of our resource guide. We have 28 cities and towns in Plymouth County, so it's been a bit of a challenge for me to get to all of them, but I have 21 distributed so far. I still have 7, and my goal is to get that done this week by Friday. And then let's see, our challenges, currently we have 3 openings on our commission. We also have 2 commissioners whose tenure will expire in December, and they are going to conclude their service. So we will have 5 openings, and that has been our biggest challenge this year, is making sure that when we get together every month, that we are making quorum. And yeah, it's been tough. So that aside, as far as our legislative updates are concerned, we do tend to support the statewide commission. And to be honest with you, 2022 has been very difficult for us to follow through and keep up with, branching out and making additional observations as far as legislation is concerned. We do have a lot in as far as our, I'm not going to say emotional support, but our support really is standing behind the public access to menstrual products in public places, as well as our support of the individual parents running for public office. Those are 2 that we have been relatively active in promoting with our regional legislators. We do have a plan for the future to have a legislative breakfast, as I had said. We're currently in the planning stages of that. And we also plan to have a listening session, one for our younger ladies in the county, and then one for everyone in general. We do have contacts with a local agricultural / vocational school. We plan to hold our listening session there because it is relatively centrally located in the county, but we'll also have the option to attend virtually in order to bring our numbers up. But we're excited, we're grateful. We are hopeful as far as getting new members, new commissioners appointed. So far, out of the 5 commissioners that we have, 3 of us have filled out our evaluations for 2 of the individuals who have applied to join our commission. We're still waiting on the other 2 individuals to fill out their rating sheets, and then I will send those on to Tina. But other than that, that is where we are. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. We love your rating sheets. We value them so much. So I know a lot of regionals are restaffing, and on the state commission, we so appreciate your insight. I know an earlier regional mentioned, I think Bristol, that they had interviews and provided us feedback, and we were able to fully staff Bristol and many of the other commissions. So just to plug, the more info you can give us, the more we can defer to you. And with that, I will turn it to Upper Middlesex. Jenna, I don't know. Yep, come on up.
Michelle had to leave to go to the Comstart.
Oh, that's right, that's tonight, yeah.
Yeah. So I agreed to write the notes down because I didn't come prepared.
As I said, I'm Jenna Canfield. I'm from Upper Middlesex. We actually had some great successes this year. We were very excited about, in no particular order. We initiated our legislative action speaker series at our meetings and invite individuals each meeting to come and present some information about one of the bills or one of the legislative priorities that we want to hear about. To date, we had someone come from the Common Start Coalition, which is one of our priorities of our commission. And then we also had someone come from Helping My Aging Parents come to speak to us, because we are also bracketing the caregiver end of things, because many of us in our commission happen to be in caregiver mode. So this has been a high priority for us. We held a virtual town hall, and we had partnered with the YWCA of Malden, where the topic of this was the future of women in the workplace. We decided to host this as both an information session where we reported out on some of the surveys that the Mass Commission had done, but also to get some testimonies around women in the workforce pre and post COVID, and to give them some information about our legislative priorities and to capture some of their own. Some of the bills that we are currently supporting, as I said, the Common Start Coalition, the Protection at Work and the bill against workplace bullying is a very big one for us. We've partnered with the Massachusetts Women's Bar Association. And we've had a speaker from the Women's Bar Association, Andrea Kramer, came and spoke with us about this. The next really exciting thing we're doing is we are finally starting our own Athena Council. And we're very excited about this. We are currently reviewing applications for this, and we have quite a few. So we're actually really excited. Seems to be a lot of interest. We are geographically broad, this upper Middlesex space. So we are really excited that we've also just received 2 new interns, one of whom is from Littleton, the town that I live in. So I'm very excited because normally the applicants come from the cities closer to the city. So this is nice to see someone from further out in the regions to try to get as far out to the edges of our region as we can. But her name is Maddie Shea from Littleton, Mass. She's a high school student, which is also exciting. And we have also an undergraduate, Erin Reed, who's from Simmons University. Not that I'm partial to that, but I'm a professor there. So excited that she's joining us. But we thought it was exciting that we have both a high school student and an undergraduate. We've had great success with high school interns. In fact, one of our previous high school interns is now an actual official member of our commission, Christina Lee. She was our first intern. She was from Lexington High School. She's now a freshman at Harvard. You know, not an overachiever, but she's also wonderful and incredibly passionate and works tirelessly. So it's been wonderful. We had our first coffee with commissioners scheduled that we did in Winchester. Only commissioners showed up, but we all went.
Just Simmons alum here, class of 98.
There you go. Okay. Yay. Yeah, there's a lot of Simmons connection on our commission in general and random. It wasn't really planned that way. But our coffee with commissioners, mostly, as I said, we're only commissioners, but we did try to chat with people next to us just to let them know who we were and why we were there. But we hope that, again, with more social media and advertising, et cetera, that this might become a regular thing. And so we're planning more of these. These are more casual, informal things where 2 or 3 commissioners will show up and you can come and just talk to us. And we're hoping to hit different towns throughout the whole region so that, again, we're hitting that big geographic area. I think we have a strong commitment to the Girls Initiative. In fact, Connie Chow, who is our current co-chair, was instrumental in helping with that survey. I was instrumental originally on the Girls Initiative committee, and so we are very vested in seeing that be successful. So I think that's where we stand.
Introduce yourself. I had that muted.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Chantel with the Worcester County Commission Chair. So Worcester County, I started with it in 2014, and I was there for 2 terms, right?
Yep.
2 terms. And then I just came back this year. We are not 100% at capacity. We should be by the end of the year. So next year we'll start off as a full commission. So right now, with all of the newbies on this commission, it's very interesting to say the least, but it's exciting at the same time because you get to see their lights come on as they're thinking like, how do we get more information? How do we do this? So right now, what we're going to be doing is research. Everybody has to research, understand exactly what the county commission is. When we first started, it was a little easier because we had Linda Cavioli and Meredith on us. Like, listen, they were like, you're here, you're there. That's what you do, and that's what we did. So now we don't really have that yet, again, but it's coming back. I don't see an issue with our in-person and virtual. We want to keep things hybrid because of accessibility, and not everybody is comfortable. We are looking at food security. We are looking at the Zero Fare Coalition here in Worcester to try to keep the buses free. Other things that my commission likes to do, empowerment of girls is one of their big things. And that's why we still work with Investing in Girls, because they do that part. So we don't have to. We do not have any legislative work as of yet that we want to initiate, but we are partnering with a lot of different organizations throughout Worcester County. I think that's about it. But they're fun.
Woo. And I was not like that.
Yes, you were.
Upper Middlesex, was I like that? No.
And I with you, and I was I was
Yeah.
scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of pressure.
To match your energy and your.
And well
But-
worth it. What a
Yeah.
standard. What a standard.
Listen, I tried regionals. I'm sorry, ladies, regionals have always been my thing. And when Eastern Regional, Upper Middlesex and Plymouth got created out of hard legislative work through my office, I was like, yes, yeah. But so we're watching the clock, guys. So everybody online, please click onto your link for the policy manual for the Regional Commission. We're going to start with the policy manual. And here's what we're doing. We're not just doing training today. What we're doing is we're asking you for thoughts and inputs. Everything that is created in the handbook or the policy book comes from your enabling language. And also,
We're getting there.
sorry, okay.
We have a request, but
But
we're ready.
request, yeah, we're coming. So everything in the policy books, the handbooks, come from your enabling language. Also, your bylaws should stem from your enabling language. We didn't print out each and every one's bylaws. I hear rumors that some of them, so we have to talk about if you're missing something and you don't have it because you're revitalized or it was never transitioned down to you, please let Tina know if you can't find your bylaws. If you don't have it, then we'll look for it. We'll try to find it and get it to you, right? So in the policy book, first and foremost, of course, once after the intro, you'll see is the appointment procedures. The MCSW, the Massachusetts Commission on the Status of Women, the creating bodies of the regionals are the appointing authorities of the regionals, right? So what we do is we get all of the application in, as you know. Tina then sends it out to you, the regional. We ask you to review the applications, have an interview session with the applicants, see if they fly well or if they'll drown or whatever, right? Do your matrix, your score, your sheet, score them and send them back to Tina, and then Tina will turn them over to program and planning, and the regional commission subcommittee will review them and look at them. So let me say, your suggestions for 2021 and 2022 were taken 100% at light. That's typically not the way it's done, because we also review the applications and we also score the applications. And if our scores don't match with your scores, we're going to go with our scores, right? So what we typically ask the regions to do when you review them is to write comments and notes about what you thought about the person when you sat down with them. So if you don't give us any comments or notes about your sit-down meeting with the person that sent in the application, then we're just gonna go by our notes. So if you say in your comments, very strong in girls' work or very strong in financial literacy, and this would be good for our region, so we would love to have this person on board. Yes, hold that.
Our appointing authorities. we
Yes.
mentioned it.
Yep. So, thank you. So if you see here, if you look at the appointing organizational structure, you can snap a picture, those that are online, screenshot it. As you see, the 19 volunteer commissioners appoint the 11 regional commissions, and everyone has 9 except for Cape and the Islands that has 13. Right? So nice shot. You're gonna send that out to everybody? Yeah. That's an improvement on what we had before. Go ahead on, Ellen. Uh-oh. Yeah, we kept you for a reason. All right. Like 2 snaps. You got 2 snaps on that. Okay. So if you, in your review sheet, and I just want to say, in your review sheet, if you don't put any comments in the comment section, that's not helpful to the person that you met with. Right? Not helpful at all, because then we're gonna go by what we saw on paper. You know, so I'm saying that to say in 2023, every regional commission will be at full capacity. So we won't have to do this rush to fill the commissions anymore, and we'll go back to the policy that's in the book, the review and process, right? So please, please, please put comments in, Rebecca.
Yeah, I just want to affirm what Meredith is saying. Even this year, as we've been reviewing your notes, we have been able to come to agreement with the recommendations that we've gotten so far, but that's not because we just rubber stamped it. We saw a lot of wonderful comments and feedback that the regionals shared with us, and that's why we were able to understand you did your due diligence. We can defer to those in-person meetings that you had. You all know what you need. We want to give you what you need. But like Meredith said, if we get a rating sheet that says 5.0 for this person, we don't know anything and we can't do our job for you. So great job as you've been doing it. Keep doing it. Keep giving us the comments so that we can understand why you want the people that you want.
Yes, thank you. And also on the appointing and selection of application, I love everyone has been buying into demographic diversity, age diversity, just county diversity, you know, and that's really important, because when we first started with the regionals, we were getting so many top heavy, like Metro West, we would get tons of Framingham. And we were like, no, we can't put more than 2 Framingham because it's a region, you know, and why not? We love these people. No, you have to be diverse. So thank you, ladies. Thank you, ladies, for buying in and looking throughout your region to different areas. All right, so appointment application process. Is there any questions or comments in that piece?
Marcia from Hampshire Franklin asks, if there is a disagreement between the state opinion and the commission evaluation, will you get back to the region?
Or will you automatically appoint them? I think is what she's talking about.
So I'll just jump in as what program and planning has been doing this year. And everything I know about program and planning, I learned from Meredith. So hopefully we agree. What we've been doing is Tina is fantastic. Rely on Tina, give her the intel. She'll share it with us. And if we have an issue, we may put it off. Understanding that this will cause a month delay, right? Because we only meet once a month. Program and planning meets, we make recommendations to the full commission and the full commission does the appointment. So, you know, if we have an issue, it's going to take a month to get back around to it. But, you know, please let us know if that's your preference. If, you know, you would rather wait a month and make your case, you know, have a discussion with us, put that information through to Tina. We feel very strongly. Sometimes we get information from the regionals that says, we really like these 4, we only have 3 slots, you know, do what you will. And then that's fine. But if you want us to converse with you and perhaps take another extra month, or you can send a representative to our meeting as well. So recently Linda attended our meeting for other reasons, but you are also welcome to do that. If you want to share with program and planning what's going on with your appointments, you can do that and then it won't take the extra.
Yes, won't take the time. Go ahead. Sorry.
Are you talking to me?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So will we be notified that you have approved before you send the letters out or the emails out to the new people? Okay.
Yes. So that's in the book.
Yeah.
It's in
It
the
is in
book.
the book, and everybody did receive an email from me this last go before the letters, because I wanted to give you all a heads up that this was happening.
So, but here's my pet. I'm jumping up before I let Becca. I'm going to say it. And all right. So when you send us the review recommendation, you're sending it to, where's that screen? The MCSW, the appointing authority, right? You are not the appointing authority. Tina is not the appointing authority. The commissioners are the appointing authority. So when you send in that review sheet to us to review and look at, and to look at our notes to make the choice, please, please, please do not notify the applicants that you sent them in to be commissioner. Because then we end up with situations, multiple situations, where they already think that they're commissioners, or they don't get selected, and then you have to tell them that they didn't get selected, and or they get very angry because they didn't get selected. So we have experienced all of those. That's one of the reasons this book was created, was that. Also, when you get an application, say for example, sometimes some people will apply and their basket is full. And they apply because they think it would be an extra line on their resume or something, and it would be an awesome thing to be able to say that they were commissioner of the Massachusetts Commission on the Status of Women, which they are not, right? And you ladies are commissioners on your regional commission, not on the Massachusetts Commission on the Status of Women. And when you review them and you look at them, they might get a 4, they might get a 4.5, and then they come to us and we look at it and we're like, oh, wait a minute, isn't this so-and-so? How is she gonna find time to make this meeting once a month? And we might say to you, we don't think that's a good fit because you want active commissioners, not just someone with a title. And this is another reason why this book was created, because we have had that many of times. And there are times where we've gone ahead and given you the person and you've come back and said, oh my God, how do we get rid of this person? Because they're inactive. And then we're stuck. And again, that's why we created the section that says, how do we uninvite someone from being a commissioner, right? So the process, first listen, so the process of how we uninvite a person. What page is that, Tina? Because we're gonna get page 5, right?
I see removal process.
Yes, page 5, there it goes.
At the bottom.
At the bottom.
Yep.
So where it says removal process, because I had a chair ask me, so I'm saying to you the process. If there is an inactive commissioner on your commission, you meet 10 months out of the year, you take summer, July and August off, so that's 10 meetings. If they miss 3 consecutive meetings and they're not doing any work. So say you are planning an event, they say they're gonna work on this event, they're doing that work, but they can't make the meeting, they're gonna apologize that they can't make the meeting, but they're gonna do the work. But if they're not making the meeting and they're not contacting you, the chair, and saying to you, I'm sick, I can't make it, or something, or I have a meeting, and they're still not doing the work, you, the chair, is gonna say, hey, can we talk? Then when you have that conversation and you don't like the answer and you're still unsure, you're gonna give them another opportunity, another chance. The next meeting now, you're gonna say, hey, we talked, you still didn't come today, you still didn't contact me, right? But this time you're gonna do it in an email, right? So phone call, email. After the email, you still don't see this person still is not doing the work, and they are not communicating with you, the chair of your commission. You're now gonna send them a hard copy. You know what that is, right, people? Paper. You're gonna write a letter and you're gonna print it out on paper. And you're gonna say, hey, sister, I'm concerned. We've missed you. I've spoken with you. I've sent you emails. I'm still concerned. Is everything all right? Do you feel that you can still fill this position as a commissioner? And you're going to address it, put a stamp on it, and you're going to mail it to their address. If you get a response, yippee, then you follow up with them about the response. If you don't get a response, then your next step is you're going to email Tina when you had the phone call, a copy of the email that you sent and a copy of the letter that you mailed and when you mailed it. And then Tina is going to bring it to us, the commissioners, and we are going to say to Tina and our ED, make a phone call. Now Tina's going to call them. And if no response, Tina's going to email them. If no response, then the MCSW executive director is going to send them a letter on paper with a stamp. And if there's no response, the next letter will be, we have exhausted all opportunity for you to respond to us, to let us know what is happening. And we have taken a vote to remove you from the seat that you are holding in whatever regional commission you are holding it in. Due diligence, history, timeline, boom, done. Right? Need all of that. And the reason why we need all of that is because we do not want to be taken to ethics or MCAD or any law firm that is close to that person. Because it has, that's why we have this book. We've been there, done that, right? Okay. Thank you. Any questions in the chat, anybody? So, term limits. Regional commissioners. You can serve 2 years or 3 years. We like to stagger them. If it's a 2-year term, you get to serve 3. If it's a 3-year term, you get to serve 2. You get to serve up to 6 years as a regional commissioner. And then you could be emerita or advisor for as long as you want. But after 365 plus 1 day, and you decide you want to come back as an active commissioner, you can reapply to be a regional commissioner. Start from scratch. So you have to go a whole year and a day before you can reapply, right? So that's very important. Also in your seat, when you're in your seat, you're appointed to your seat. You are in that seat until someone is appointed in it to fill it. You don't just end on the day that your term ends and you go bye-bye, turn your back and walk away. No, we like to hold on to you. We like to keep you, right? We're not going to overwork you, but we hope to keep you there and maybe keep you as an advisor, as an emerita, whatever it is, until next time. So anything you guys think we need to change or add in there, if you notice on the term limits on page 5, you notice the section that talks about the 1 year time is missing. We're going to update that. I don't know how I missed that when we printed this. All right. All right. Should a regional commissioner be removed for ethics violation? You ladies know what ethics violations are, right? We also have the ethics stuff in the handbook, but the links and all of the, I can't talk. The thingies to go and look and see what the ethics are. They're all in the appendix in the handbook. So it's up to the chairs, it's up to each commissioner to be able to, you know, be vigilant and paying attention to what your sister commissioners are doing. Social media is very important. Whoever runs your social media page, they have to understand the ethics piece. What can get you in trouble? Because sometimes we get excited. And when you get excited about sharing something and you don't pay attention to what you're sharing, could be an ethics problem. So maybe we need to have maybe a social media Ellen training for whoever your social media person might be, right? Because we don't want you to share or tag something that would pull us into ethics. We
Especially around
had
legislators or legislations. It could be construed as endorsing that legislator
Yeah.
or that political figure.
yes, or the endorsement or whatever. So say, for example, say you have multiple hats. All of us have multiple hats, right? I'm really serious about abortion laws. I'm really serious about sex trafficking. I'm really serious about prison work, but I filter everything that I put on my social media. And that's because I've worked in politics for many years, so I know I filter my life. I even filter my dates, right? So what I'm saying to you is your personal thoughts and opinions, when you share it on your Facebook, please make sure it doesn't say Commissioner of Essex Regional, right? But I know she's careful what she does because she, you know, attorneys have to pay attention. But say you share something and it has Commissioner on there and you're bashing, I won't use any Massachusetts, DeSantos. So say you're bashing DeSantos and you're saying he's, you know, crazy, you know, he's lost his mind. Wow, what's wrong with him? You know, how could he ban this? How could he do that? Right? And have your title on it. That can put us into an ethics violation. So we have to be very careful because we have been there again. That's why this book was created. Yes, sister. Go ahead. Yes. Yes, it's in here. That's why this was written. It's in.
Yeah, when we reprint these.
We're gonna, okay. She said her glasses need glasses, sister. Lord help us. So I have a question. I really have a question, and I'm not putting anybody on blast. But when you got appointed, did you not get a link to ethics, a link to the policy book, a link to the handbook? So I just needed to know, because that's what you're supposed to get along with your letter, right? So you have it. It's electronic, but we are going to be updating and going through, and there's suggestions about possibly merging them into one. I'm still trying to figure out how we can do that without causing conflict of interest in merging the two. Another question.
If I
Yeah.
could just, So as I've come on board, every time we do an appointment, I send the appointment letter, and they get all those attachments.
Yes.
It was not happening. It was really specific to the commissions on whether they were taking care of it or not. Because I have discovered that certain commissioners said, oh, I didn't realize we had to do that. So in this new going forward, I can tell you all that anybody, new appointees as of January 2022 have gotten all of what they need to be getting.
Yes.
We're now tracking. Have you done open meeting law? Have you been sworn in?
Yeah.
Have you got conflict of interest? You would be surprised at how much wasn't happening.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we as a commission get audited.
Prior to 2019, then it was happening because we get audited every year. So trust me. Look. During the pandemic time, it must have got crazy. Yes, Linda. Sorry, go ahead, Linda.
I was gonna say that if you're tracking all that, do you let the chairs know? Because if we don't know that somebody hasn't completed their ethics, if they haven't have their sworn in documentation,
we're letting them sit on our commissions
Yes.
and they're voting, and that's problematic.
So we're trying,
Oh,
so let me just
okay.
clarify. So we're, again, I'm tracking from January 2022.
Yes.
What
Yes.
you're referring to are people before that, which we realized.
Yeah.
Certain people were sitting on commissions that hadn't been sworn in, that hadn't done conflict of interest or open meeting law, so we were having to backtrack. Because we did an audit this summer, and one of our interns and myself were going through, all of you got emails from me. And we were discovering, people are like, oh, I didn't know I had to do open meeting law, you know.
Wow.
So we were discovering these things.
Wow, okay, so again, 2019, 2020 was really crazy for us. Prior to that, our last real audit was 2018, 2019, so I apologize, go ahead, yeah.
So I also want, so I understand that Tina has a lot of work to do,
Mhm.
right? But it's also on the commissioners to do your due diligence at the
Mhm.
same time. Like when I came back on and I was like, this is what needs to be done to the new people that came on right a month after me. I'm like, listen, I need this done before you can even come to a meeting. So it's like you have to put your foot down and take responsibility for your own commissioners as well. So if they don't complete it, you don't come to a meeting. You understand what I'm saying? That's what I think.
Yeah.
A different approach now on the page.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's one of the things too, we say. Yeah, yeah. Is it? Okay, all right. So ladies, looking at the clock, paying attention to what's going on. Here's my question to everyone. Well, not really question, but I would like to request. Please look at hard copy is so much easier sometimes to go through and review and read and make notations and so on. Go through, look and see. I know we need to update it because the last time we touched both of these books was 2018, right? We were working on it 2018, 2019, and then Sasha left, and then we went into this pandemic mode and all of that, and we never got to complete it. We had meetings with the regionals, and the regionals were giving us some input, but we want to finish that project. Those online, we want to finish that project. We want to bring it into where we are now, because we're talking about the websites, we're talking about the logos, we're talking about all of the new technology that we're driven for, and we want to update these. So this will be 2-year project. I'm not 2-year, but 2-year projected out. So in 2 years we can revisit it again, whatever. However, and I saw Ellen's hand go up right
Just a
quick.
small note for all of you to that effect of branding. The MCSW itself is having a larger conversation about our branding. What is our logo? Is the woman symbol for the modern age? We love the purple. It's our suffragist history. So Tina will be sharing a survey with you all, and you're going to see some new logos, not only for our 25th anniversary coming in the spring, but also for each of our regionals. And I want to know if you want to all look the same, if you want to look different and have your own flavor, please be honest, because we're going to make lockups and come the spring. I'm going to have meetings and rollouts with all of you of your own little media kit. You're going to get logo and
Yeah.
letterhead, whatever you need. That's all coming 6 months.
So for those of you that already have logo, I think it's 4 of our regionals that already have logo. Look at your logos and send notes back on if you want to keep it, if what you'd like to see updated on it. Also, Facebook pages. I want to say there's 6 or 7 that have Facebook pages. Please look at that also. Yes, yes, let Tina know, let Ellen know. Also, one of the things too, that was a question that came up, regional, and then we're gonna start shutting it down. So regional commissioners, sometimes we go through job changes, we go through things, and we might purchase a house outside of the region that we serve on. So now we're no longer in that region. You have to resign your position. But if you want to serve on the regional commission in the new area where you live, you have to apply for that position, right? So, and it's not hard, because what you could say to your chair, girl, man, I don't want to leave you, but I bought a house and I'm moving, my job relocated me, whatever. I'm going to go to this region and I'm thinking I'm going to apply. Can you send me a referral? Your chair can do that. The chair that you apply to can then call and say, hey, so-and-so applied, what do you think? Is she good? Is she not good? You know, it's up to you how you do this. It's almost like transition from work to work type thing, right? So you have the opportunity to do that, right? So think about, you know, those are things that we're asking you to look at, to look in the book and see if there's something that we're missing. I know that we talked about the inactive piece. We talked about how we can remove somebody. We talked to resigning from your seat. Sick leave. Oh Lord, before I forget, if there's someone that's asking you to take a leave of absence, we have done that, but what we have said to the person, we could do a leave of absence because we've had someone that went and had back surgery and they didn't want to give up their seat because they were really passionate about the work. So we gave them 6 months. It was never put into writing, but we're going to start putting it into writing. So that's why I'm mentioning it, because I want you ladies to send me some notes. So we gave them 6 months of sick leave or leave of absence, right? We called it leave of absence. And after the 6 months, we revisited and recontacted the person and said, okay, we've reached that time. Are you going to start coming back to meetings, right? If the person is not able to come back to meetings, they are now going to be asked to release the seat. We've given you time. We gave you 6 months. And now the process is we need the seat to be filled. And if you can't fill it and you don't have the capacity to come back, then we need you to resign that seat, right? And Rebecca, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. We have been dealing with this very recently and sometimes without Meredith's wise guidance. So we've had to do our own thing sometimes. And what we've come to this year is that we want to hear from the chair of the commission. Are you going to be able to make quorum during the sick leave? Because if you're not, then we want to give you more flexibility to decline the sick leave and say the person has to resign. If you know you want to retain that person and want to give them the sick leave, then we can do as Meredith said.
Oh, it has to be someone that's active.
We want to listen, right? But I'm saying even if it's somebody that's active, but you can't do the work of your commission without them, even for those 6 months, then there's some flexibility to say, I'm sorry, we can't accommodate that sick leave right now, but it's a case by case up to the regional, you know, working with the commissioner who wants to take a step back.
And if that's how you want us to put it into the book, let us know that also. Yes, I see another hand.
I'm not familiar with all of the rules, but I believe that this person not able to, like, if the person doesn't attend 3 or more meetings, then to issue something, trying to figure out where the 6 months comes from.
Because you're,
It's excused.
it's excused. So the 3 missed consecutive meetings you have not been heard, you haven't heard from the person hasn't said to you, can I miss this meeting? Excused meetings are acceptable. But if it's a no call, no show, no call, no show, then yes, right. Yeah.
The bigger one to me is not, right? Like it's for Robert's.
Yes. And this is the most important book.
I'm wondering if there's capacity for making a summary and putting that in.
And that's what we're looking for. Yes.
Right. Oh, no, I need
Right, and that's what we're asking you for in the handbook, because the handbook, this stuff is the important, most important document. This book right here, more than anything else. So if you can't understand it and you can't get it, you have to let us know so we can figure out how to put it into phonics, right? Because we have to be able to know that you understand this book. Right? You need to know that in the back of this book is all of the enabling language that tells you how you were created. The words that created you is in the back, right? Those words are the words that helped you create your bylaws, you know, all of that, the open meeting laws, all of that stuff. So read them, please, and send us some notes. And this helps that we know we have to, you know, do some summaries in here, right?
Can I just say two
Tina.
things? I know we're running over, but let me just say two things, because Jackie, I'm thinking of you and possibly Lisa. So I know some of you have new chairs, and so it is my intention in January.
Ellen, any questions
to
online?
have the new chairs training. I know I've talked,
Yes.
not that Chantel needs it, but just. So I want you to know that, because I am getting a lot of questions about like open meeting law, Robert's rules. So I am gonna host that. So I just want you to know that. The second thing, if you don't-
Tina, with that, I would suggest that whoever their secretary is.
Yes.
Has to attend that, because you have to turn your paperwork into the clerk's office. You have to know how to post it 48 hours. You have to understand the Robert's Rules stuff.
Yeah.
So do you suggest that the secretaries are included in that?
Yeah, so we're finally gonna get that off the ground. I know I've been talking about it.
Yes.
One quick question, I'm sorry. I think I'm gonna do it in January, because I've got some new chairs coming on, I guess, right at the top of the year, in January. So I'm waiting for that group.
And so too does the new administration come in. So
Yeah.
our legislative priorities can't get settled until the new administration gets settled. So January will be a big month.
Yeah, will be big. But really quickly, before we wrap up, this comes up a lot. Social media.
Yes.
I get a lot of questions from regionals that say, can we post about this topic? So what is the rule when somebody, if there's something and you know that the answer isn't automatically yes? What's a guiding rule? Like I got one actually from.
So
Cape and Islands
it's
today.
the disclaimer,
Yeah.
it's the statement. So say you want to share something that someone is posting, it could be something dealing with women and girls in your region, and it's an event they're doing, and you want to share that information because, again, all women and girls of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts fall under your purview, right? And not everybody thinks the same way. So when you're sharing that statement or that event or that flyer, you must put a disclaimer. And what I'll suggest is that Ellen and Shaitia will sit down and have a conversation with our ethics people to make sure that the disclaimer is set, and we'll send you the disclaimer. So you don't have to create it. We'll get it created and we'll send it to you. And whenever you think you're posting something that might not be within the code, put that statement with that that document, right?
And I'd suggest also stopping short of telling someone what to do. So as an independent, nonpartisan body, we say, here's how you could vote on this. Here's, you know, what the vote yes on one. You stop short of telling them, advocating how to vote, unless it is a piece of legislation endorsed. So we did yes on 4 for the most recent ballot question, and we're technically out of election season, but I'd suggest you err on the side of public education, providing information about that. I always link to the League of Women Voters, other nonpartisan objective sources that give folks information about the things we're discussing about, but stop short of saying vote no, vote yes.
And even that, sorry.
Yeah.
We didn't do that. Right.
So we shouldn't have, it was because that was a bill that turned
That
into
we-
a
yeah, that was
referendum, so that was something that we need to work on it in our house too. But we can endorse bills, we cannot endorse
Referendum. So when it went to a question,
So we couldn't do that?
when it went to a question on the ballot, we could share that it went to the question on the ballot, even though because we were on the coalition. Our name is listed on the coalition, so we could list that it went to the ballot as a question, but we couldn't share it as something we suggested you do yes on 4.
So you see how it's difficult for someone like me,
Yes.
an immigration practitioner.
Yes.
This is my top, like that particular legislation that went to the referendum.
Yes.
So I did a video on that, and I
Right.
didn't know that I would.
You could do the video because you're immigration attorney.
That's what I'm saying. It's
Right.
Whatever you want.
Yeah,
Go over.
right, we are gonna go.
You know, I think more clearly with everybody,
Yeah.
because the state commissioners were confused too, when we're allowed to be in the coalition for the bill passes, we're all celebrating. We endorsed it as the state commission, and then it turns into a referendum. It feels silly, but that is the rule of being a special state employee, as we are. We can't, it's not because of us, it's not from our rules, it's from state ethics rules that says if you're a special state employee, you cannot
Endorse, rep.
in your capacity as the special state employee, the referendum.
We have to put a disclaimer, and we're gonna create those terms. Yes.
New season and all
Lynn,
legislation.
hold on a second, wait a minute, let's get Linda, because we were running over. Go ahead, Linda, I'm sorry.
Sorry, ladies.
Sorry, lady.
Oh,
Go
no,
ahead, go ahead.
I was just going to say that the Cape has been dealing with this issue,
Mhm.
and our visibility group is going to be working on putting together some do's and don'ts
Mhm.
and some guidelines.
Yeah.
Because we come up with that all the time.
All the time.
What can we say? What can we not say? So we're gonna see if we can have 1 to 2 pages that our group can do. And
Please
you know,
share.
perhaps share with you
Yeah,
guys
absolutely.
and see if it,
Yeah.
pass it on, but we say.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
you can turn that into a little one pager and share.
But again, the easiest way to do it, because we do it on the national, is we attach a disclaimer. It's the easiest way to do it. We have to just come up with a 1-2 liner stating, we are sharing this information for knowledge. We're sharing it, and that's it. Not that we are endorsing it and supporting it, we're sharing it. So that's what we have to do. Yeah. Go ahead.
We had an issue come up and we had spoken to Tina about it on Roe v. Wade, and we actually called the State Ethics Commission
Mhm.
to find out, and their advice was a little different from what you're saying.
Exactly.
They said it's a women's issue.
We can support it.
We can support.
We can support it, because if you look at our statement that we put out, we supported that we as women and girls were angry at what the Supreme Court did versus Roe versus Wade, but our statement didn't say, let's I'm forgetting, I'm trying to figure out how to word it. We could support it, but we can't say we support the boycotting, we support the women and girls and what's right for women and girls, because no, listen what I'm saying. 100 women in this room, and we bring up Roe versus Wade. 50 of those women are going to say, oh my God, we're outraged that they overturned Roe versus Wade. The other 50 are going to say, yay. We as the Massachusetts Commission for the Status of Women are here to speak for all of the women and girls of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So we can't say we're outraged of the overturning of Roe versus Wade. We have to say we support the women and girls in their decisions on what happened with Roe versus Wade. See what I'm saying? See the difference?
Yes, but I have a question about that, because that's not how it came out in the statement that the MCSW, it was a lot stronger than what you're saying. But I think that there was a difference made as to whether or not you're posting in your individual capacity. Because I remember a training a couple of years ago where they said, if your Facebook profile says commissioner or original commissioner, that you just cannot post. But if it's like Augur Winnie-Okoye, you can say anything because you're not.
You can say anything you want.
Yeah. The other, I think that difference has to be noted.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I said, as long as it says, yes.
Regional commission.
Yes.
Okay, exactly. Okay, so I get it.
So I just want to suggest that the state commission revisit this, because we spoke to the ethics lawyers at the State House who told us that because reproductive justice and abortion are considered women's issues.
Yes.
Sorry, what are you, what are
They
you
called
relating
ethics,
this to?
the Roe versus Wade overturned.
Example, just a quick sec, I'm just
Yeah.
saying, I encourage you to double check, because what we were told is that abortion and.
Yeah, I don't think that's inconsistent. I think the only thing we can't do is endorse referenda.
Yeah.
Right, so what we were asking for was a clarification.
Sure, I missed that. I apologize.
Just a clarification, because I think there was some confusion earlier this year. We were told that we were at the time not supposed to take a position as a regional commission on Roe v. Wade because it was a partisan issue. And what I'm just, all I'm asking is that we double check, because that actually is not what the lawyers told us.
Yeah,
We were told that's not the case.
I don't know where that advice came from.
Yeah.
Came from the
Yeah.
state.
It
Came from the
You know
state.
what? State commission,
we asked them not to put out.
like the
we-
legislative committee?
We told, right, through legislative, we said to them, don't say we are outraged at the overturning of Roe versus Wade. Straight out, this is wrong, because we have to speak for all of the women in growth.
I mean,
So it's how it was worded.
I do think
Yeah.
I respectfully disagree with that tack. You know, Meredith is legislative chair this year. She had tons of institutional experience. You know, as a lawyer and as a person who understands what partisan is, I think that is probably erring on the side of caution more.
That
than
was
we
caution,
needed
yeah.
to, because a court case is not technically partisan, right? It's become partisan. But
But
I
it
think,
itself is a part.
but right, so I think that, you know, that's a discussion that we can continue to have.
Yeah, I just hope we do.
Yeah.
I
think
want
so.
us to have that, because it's very important, because people are gonna cross the line, you know, not knowing, but I think I know it's not partisan, that's how I feel.
So maybe
Right.
just to put a plug in, I'm interested in having a larger conversation. I'm a new constructor. I'm a young woman. I'm kind of a firebrand in many ways, and I want to have a conversation with the state commissioners, even around my own social media guidelines. So the things that I'm posting, down to, you know, if we're talking about our logo, which is just the woman symbol, how inclusive is that? So there's a deeper conversation to have here around vocabulary terms that we haven't had the opportunity to have yet. So I think that that's valid in many ways.
You had mentioned the League of Women Voters, and I've been a president of the League of Women Voters for many,
I think that's $25 every year.
you should be a member.
We try to start one in Springfield.
I started one in Framingham, but they're very strict and they're non-partisan policy, but we were allowed to post about Roe v. Wade, and that was the reason that we went to the ethics.
Yeah,
Commission.
I think it's probably not an ethical issue,
Yeah.
but it's a policy issue
It's
of
a
how we
policy
want to
Right,
handle.
exactly.
So thank you for raising.
And that's
it.
fine.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
outrage as long as we understand.
Right.
But we just should continue to discuss.
Tanisha has her hand
Will do.
on. Did
Yes.
you want to say something?
Oh, sorry, Tanisha, did you want to say something?
This is a tricky spot because I wear a lot of hats, and
Hold on a minute, wait.
running a social justice organization for one, I post about lots of things, and overall, like, none of this is neutral, right?
Yeah.
Like, neutrality helps the oppressor. And I know that we're, the Commission for the Status of Women, right? And we're talking about women all across the Commonwealth. And in doing this work, I feel like we need to focus on the women who are the most impacted, right? So that might not be the wealthy women in the eastern part of the state, because are they going to still have abortion access? Probably yes. We know that Black and brown women will be the most impacted by the loss of reproductive health care access. We need to name that and not shy away from it and say, oh, it's partisan. Actually, it's not, because who's deeply impacted? And I think that's who we got to show up for, not the women who've always had their voices and their needs met. And I can stand by that as the ED of Arise, as the commissioner for the status of women, because that's the reality of where we are. I'm not trying to play nice, because neutrality only helps the oppressor. And if they remove Roe v. Wade, like, we're literally all oppressed, whether the women can see it or not, they are.
But I get you, I hear you, but you need to visit my timeline. On my timeline, I had sisters, I had cousins, I had young women that I've mentored who were excited that they overturned it.
And that's fine.
And that's fine, I get that. And I'm not saying, I know we tried to water down our statement, but I'm saying we have to look at the fact that, yes, you can make your own personal this and say this, but we all have to be on the same page. We all have to be able to make the statement. We were all upset about the overturning, and no, it wasn't law, it wasn't legislation, but at the same time, and if ethics was saying, hey, go ahead and make the statement, and my attorney friends are saying, go ahead and make the statement, at the time, the decision, we were waiting to get to the full commission to figure out how to make that statement, how to do the statement, and when it went to the full commission made it a soft statement. So you thought it was hard enough? I thought.
Enough, yeah.
So I don't want to interrupt
Yeah.
my sister.
Okay, let's
who
go, but
is
we got time.
My guru of all things. We clearly have more work to do in sharing information and training and creating policy. Please, for those of you still online, for those of you in the room, share with us what your confusions are, what your gray areas are, where you run into stumbling blocks, you know, like you're keeping the islands, works to do's and don'ts, but please do share with us how we can help each other to be on the same page.
Can we get extra swags for our sisters?
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Sandwiches, please.
Are we wrapping up?
We're wrapping up, everyone.
All right, well, thank you all, to those in the room, to those in the Zoom room. We appreciate you taking a bit of your Wednesday afternoons, evenings with us. Thank you so much for showing up and being present with us and having this conversation. I really want to invite everyone to do just what Rebecca had offered, and that is to give us the feedback, give us any, critiques, we're growing and we're growing together, like I said, when we opened up. So we are only as strong as you all will hold us accountable to be. So please make sure that you're feeding us back the information and the questions in the gray areas, because we truly, truly appreciate it. So thank you all and have a good night. And Rose, don't go anywhere.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Oh, and thank you, Lorenzo, for coming.
Bye, look at baby Lorenzo.
Thank you, Tanisha.
Bye, guys. We're signing off.
Thank you, Rose. Good to see you.
Good night.
He is precious shy. I'm going to sleep, you guys. Good night.
Good night, Stephanie. Oh, he is so precious.
Oh.
Hey, should I tell you staying on?
So people can say hi to Lorenzo.
Oh, wait, hold on 1 second. I'll be right back. Wait.
Oh my goodness, he is adorable. He's so
I know, now I can't get off shy. Oh, look at those thighs. Ooh, yes.
He is so precious. He's so big. Aw.
Can't do it. Mine is sleeping. Can't do it.
Oh. All right.
The babies.
Bless y'all. Good night. Now I'm really out.
Good night, Stephanie. Aw, that was such a treat. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good to see you.
It was nice seeing you too. Great meeting. Absolutely great meeting.